This e-text is otherwise provided to you, as is no other. Warranties of any kind, express or implied, are made to you as to the e-text or any medium it may be on, including but not limited to warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Some states do not allow disclaimers of implied warranties or the exclusion or limitation of consequential damages, so the above disclaimers and exclusions may not apply to you, and you may have other legal rights. Indemnity: you will indemnify and hold the project, its directors, officers, members, and agents harmless from all liability, cost, and expense, including legal fees, that arise directly or indirectly from any of the following that you do or cause: 1. Distribution of this e-text, 2. Alteration, modification, or addition to the e-text, or 3. Any defect. Distribution under Project Gutenberg TM. You may distribute copies of this e-text electronically, or by disc, book, or any other medium if you either delete this small print and all other references to Project Gutenberg, or 1. Only give exact copies of it. Among other things, this requires that you do not remove, alter, or modify the e-text or this small print statement. You may, however, if you wish, distribute this e-text in machine-readable binary, compressed, markup, or proprietary form, including any form resulting from conversion by word processing or hypertext software, but only so long as either *, the e-text, when displayed, is clearly readable, and does not contain characters other than those intended by the author of the work, although tilde, asterisk, and underline, underscore, characters may be used to convey punctuation intended by the author, and additional characters may be used to indicate hypertext links, or asterisk. The e-text may be readily converted by the reader at no expense into plain ASCII, EBCDIC, or equivalent form by the program that displays the e-text, as is the case, for instance, with most word processors, or asterisk. You provide, or agree to also provide on request at no additional cost, fee, or expense, a copy of the e-text in its original plain ASCII form, or in EBCDIC or other equivalent proprietary form. 2. Honor the e-text refund and replacement provisions of this small print statement. 3. Pay a trademark license fee to the project of 20% of the net profits you derive, calculated using the method you already used to calculate your applicable taxes. If you don't derive profits, no royalty is due. Royalties are payable to Project Gutenberg Association / Carnegie Mellon University within the 60 days following each date you prepare, or were legally required to prepare, your annual, or equivalent periodic, tax return. What if you want to send money even if you don't have to? The project gratefully accepts contributions in money, time, scanning machines, OCR software, public domain e-texts, royalty-free copyright licenses, and every other sort of contribution you can think of. Money should be paid to Project Gutenberg Association / Carnegie Mellon University. And the small print. For public domain e-texts *ver. 0.04.29.93 and *. This e-text was prepared by Nigel Lacey, Leicestershire, UK. Transcriber's notes. I have used the UK pound symbol, pound, in this e-text as it appears in the original. It looks like an L with a crossbar. I am uncertain whether this symbol will be supported on all systems and fonts that this text file ends being viewed with. My apologies if this applies to you. I have endeavored to retain the original table formatting, rather than to reformat the tables in alignment with the text. However, as several of the tables were in landscape orientation in the original, this has necessarily resulted in some very long lines in the tables, up to 130 characters in some cases. Finally, as I checked the transcription process, certain errors in the tables came to light. Rather than correct these errors, as they are an integral part of the original, the ones that I noted are marked with underscores, underscore. Note that underscores are also used to mark italicized passages in the original text. Everybody's Guide to Money Matters, with a description of the various investments chiefly dealt in on the stock exchange, and the mode of dealing therein. Also, some account of the pitfalls prepared for the unwary, and suggestions to the cautious investor. By William Cotton, FSA. Late Treasurer of the County of Devon, author of An Elizabethan Guild, Gleanings from Records, The Bank Manager, etc., originator of the postal order system. London, 1898. Preface. The author, emboldened by a banking experience of over 40 years, offers this little work to the public in the hope that, elementary though it be, it may prove acceptable to many persons of both sexes. The work has been prepared chiefly for the use of women, a vast proportion of whom are brought up in utter ignorance of money matters in the simplest form, though otherwise they may be highly accomplished. The subject, it must be allowed, is not a fascinating one, but there are periods in the lives of most persons when some knowledge of money matters may be useful and even necessary. W.C. Table of Interest on Investments. 142 examples of business communications sending money by post. 143 requiring money. 143 acknowledging receipt. 144 transfer to deposit account. 144 arranging checks to be honored by another bank. 145 requests for passport and circular notes. 145 ordering letter of credit. 146 remitting in this country. 146 lodging securities at bank. 147 order to receive dividends. 147 ordering investments. 148 Everybody's Guide to Money Matters. Chapter 1. Easy Steps to Money Matters. Money is the medium by which we may acquire from others, who are willing to part with them, such things as we may desire. The price of an article is the value set upon it by the possessor, as represented by an express sum in money. The price of some things are arbitrarily fixed by law or custom, such as stamps, professional fees, duties, and c. The standard of value in this country is gold, and it is as against gold, represented by coins of different denominations, that the value of all commodities is estimated. The authorized coins of the United Kingdom consist of the following pieces. Gold. 5 sovereign piece, equal to £5. 2 sovereign piece, equal to £2. 1 sovereign piece, equal to £1. Half sovereign piece, equal to half a pound. Silver. A crown, or 5-shilling piece, equal to 1/4 of a sovereign. Double firein, or 4-shilling piece, equal to 1/5 of a sovereign. Half a crown, or 2 shillings and 6pence, equal to 1/8 of a sovereign. Florin, or 2-shilling piece, equal to 1/10 of a sovereign. Shilling piece, equal to 1/20th of a sovereign. Sixpenny piece, 1/2 of a shilling. Threepenny piece, 1/2 of a sixpence. Bronze. A penny, equal to 1/12 of a shilling. Halfpenny, equal to 1/2 of a penny. Farthing, 1/4 of a penny. In writing or speaking of sums of money, the expression takes the form of pounds, shillings, and pence. For example, 21 pounds 5 shillings and 9 pence. Sometimes the word sterling is added, meaning genuine or standard coin of the realm. In accounts, the figures are placed in 3 parallel columns under the heading of pound s. D. Pound 4 pounds, s. 4 shillings, and d. 4 pence, from libri, solidi, and denarii, the Latin equivalents for these values. Pound s. d. 21, 5, 9. Another form of money, if it may be so termed, is the bank note. This is simply a promise to pay, on demand, the amount represented on the note, in gold or some legal tender. The most common in use are £5 notes, but there are others of different denominations, such as £10, £20, £50, £100, and c. Some country banks still issue these notes, but they are by law restricted from issuing beyond a certain amount fixed by the Bank Act of 1844. No new bank can issue notes, and those which have the privilege are gradually relinquishing it, so that in course of time there will be only one bank entitled to issue notes, and that is the Bank of England. The notes of country banks, other than the Bank of England, are not a legal tender, that is, it is not compulsory on anyone to accept them in payment of a debt. The Bank of England is the oldest joint stock bank in the country, and although, in its constitution, it does not differ materially from other joint stock banks, yet, being the agent of the British government in all money matters, and possessing other exclusive privileges, it is looked upon as one of the enduring institutions of the country. See Joint Stock Banks, page 68. Amongst other privileges it enjoys is the authority to issue promissory notes to a certain extent, representing respectively sums of £5, £10, £20, £50, £100, £200, £500, and £1,000. These Bank of England notes, as they are termed, are absolutely convertible, that is to say, the bank is legally bound to exchange them for gold at all times when demanded, and a certain amount of gold has always, by law, to be kept in stock for the purpose. Moreover, the tender of Bank of England notes, the same as with gold, in payment of a debt, cannot, in this country, legally be refused. No one, however, can be compelled to give change, that is to say, if you owe a person £4.15, you are bound in strict law to pay him that exact sum. You cannot offer him a £5 note and insist upon his giving you fives. Change, though, as a matter of courtesy and convenience, payments are constantly accepted in that form. It must be obvious that these Bank of England notes are a great convenience, and even a necessity to the public, as it would be quite impossible to carry on the enormous business of the country if such a cumbersome medium as gold coins was the only legal way of paying debt. Nevertheless, gold coin of proper weight is a legal tender to any amount. Silver is not a legal tender for sums over £2, nor bronze for sums over 1 shilling. But even with banknotes, the requirements of business are not fully satisfied, as there is always the risk of their being lost or stolen. To avoid this risk, and to provide facilities for buying and selling, with the complications incident thereto, and the passing of money from one hand to another, an intermediary agency is required, and that agency is to be found in the banking companies. In nearly every town, having a pretense to the name, in the United Kingdom, will be found a branch bank of some establishment of more or less repute, and those who are fortunate enough to possess money will do well to take advantage of such an agency for their money matters, having, of course, first ascertained that the standing of the company is such that they may do so with safety and confidence. As a first step, we give an example of what is occurring daily in hundreds of cases. Miss Jane Smith is a lady who has been brought up without the slightest instruction in business matters, indeed has rather plumed herself on the idea of being quite above such things. Suddenly she finds herself dependent upon others for guidance and advice. She would like to act for herself if she only knew how to do so safely, being of a somewhat suspicious temperament and mistrustful of advice from friends or acquaintances. Even the highly respectable lawyer, who has handed her a packet of documents and £500 in cash, a legacy from her uncle, with much sage counsel, she is not quite sure about, for she has imbibed the idea from her youth that lawyers are not always to be trusted. The packet of documents in the tin box as they came to her is set aside in a safe place for the moment, but the banknotes and gold are a matter of serious concern to her. She fears to carry them about her person lest she should lose them, or be robbed, and feels sure that if kept in the house they will attract any burglars that may be in the neighborhood. The best thing Miss Smith can do is to go to one of the neighboring banks of repute, say the Hire Bank, and ask them to help her out of the difficulty. She has an interview with the manager or cashier, tells her story, and is advised to leave the money at the bank and have an account opened in her name. This course she consents to adopt, and hands over the £500, requesting some acknowledgement that she has done so, in common terms. Something to show for it. Many banks provide and require their customers to use paying-in slips, that is, printed forms specifying the payments made to the bank under the head of checks, notes, gold, and silver. A form is handed in with each payment, and the initials of the cashier placed against the amount noted on the counterfoil, which is retained by the customer. In addition to this, Miss Smith will be presented with what is called a passbook, a book passing between the bank and herself, now become a customer, in which she will find it stated in the briefest business manner that the Hire Bank is debtor to, or owes, Miss Jane Smith £500. She will be told that portions of this money may be drawn out from time to time as she may need it, but this can only be done by checks, or forms of request to the bank to pay out the amount desired. These forms, provided by the bank, are printed, blank spaces being left to be filled up in writing, and they are made up in books of various sizes, each form bearing a penny stamp. The customer pays for the book according to the number of stamps it contains, but no more. Miss Smith buys a checkbook, and opening it, finds the following form in print. The practice with some people of writing checks on plain paper is discountenanced by bankers, and is to be condemned. Number 10901. Number 10901. Underscore 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 189. Underscore 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 189. To the Blanks Hire Banking Company, Blanktown. Underscore 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 underscore. Pay to underscore 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 or bearer. The sum of underscore 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 pound underscore 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 pound underscore 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 underscore. She then recollects that she has no money to go on with, and asks to have £10 of the £500 she has left in the bank. The cashier offers to fill up the blank spaces in her first check, making corresponding entries in the counterfoil, and having done so asks her to sign it at the foot. It then appears as follows. Number 10901. Number 10901. Underscore underscore March underscore I, underscore 1898, March I, 1898, to the Blanks Hire Banking Company, Blanktown. Underscore 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 self underscore 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 underscore. Pay to underscore 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 self underscore 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 or bearer. The sum of underscore 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 10 underscore pounds underscore 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 pound 10 underscore 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 pound 10 underscore 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 Jane underscore Smith underscore underscore. The check is detached from the counterfoil at the dotted line, and is retained by the cashier, who hands over £10 to the lady together with the book containing the remaining checks. Oh! I had quite forgotten I owe Miss Tucker, the milliner, £23 tens. Will the cashier please to let me have £23 tens to pay her with? Miss Smith is told that there is no need of incurring the risk of carrying the money through the streets, as a check in favor of Miss Tucker will equally answer the purpose, and again he fills up the blank spaces in a second check, which appears thus. Number 10902. Number 10902. Underscore underscore March underscore I, underscore 1898. March I, 1898, to the blank, here. Banking Company, blah, K-Town. Order JS. Underscore Miss underscore Tucker underscore. Pay to underscore 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 Miss underscore Tucker underscore 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 or equals 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 equals. The sum of underscore 20-3 underscore pounds underscore 10 slash dash underscore pound 23 underscore 10 slash dash underscore 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 pound 23 underscore 10 slash dash underscore 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 Jane underscore Smith underscore underscore. You see, says the cashier, I have struck out the word bearer and substituted the word order. This will oblige Miss Tucker to sign her name on the back of the check. Technically, to endorse it, before it can be paid. Your initials are required to confirm the alteration. I have also drawn parallel lines across the check, which makes it what is termed a cross check, and a cross check cannot be cashed direct, but must be paid into an account at a bank. So you see you will have the signature of Miss Tucker, proving that she has been paid her bill by means of this check, and it is obvious that by crossing the check, should it be lost and made an improper use of, there would be no difficulty in tracing through whose hands it passed. Banks also issue checks with the word order printed instead of bearer. Miss Smith soon learns that all her tradesmen's bills may be paid in the same way, without going to the bank to draw the money, and with the advantage that the check is not only a proof of payment, but that she has also a record of her accounts in the bank passbook. It may here be mentioned that should a banker cash a check with a forged endorsement, he is not responsible, and the loss falls on the drawer of the check. The crossing of a check, however, necessitating its being paid to a bank account, would facilitate the discovery of the culprit. An additional security is given to a crossed check if it bears the words, "Not negotiable," written underneath the crossing. This means that it cannot legally be used as a means of payment to a third party. In the event of such a check going wrong, the loss would fall upon a bank negotiating it for a customer. The bank could be called upon to make good the amount to the payee. If, however, he pays a check with a forged signature, he is responsible, as he is supposed to know the handwriting of his own customer. It is illegal to postdate a check, the reason being that bills of exchange, which are obligations to pay money at a future date, bear a much higher stamp duty than checks. It would, therefore, be a fraud upon the revenue to make checks due duty for bills of exchange. Chapter 2. The Bank Account. The manner in which Miss Smith had left her money on what is termed a current account at the bank is convenient to herself and profitable to the blank's higher bank, for they have the use of it free, paying nothing for that use in the way of interest. She will have other money coming to her in the shape of rents, and the interest on money invested, as represented in those documents in the tin box, all which money can be handed over to the bank in the same way that the £500 was. There is, however, no reason why she should leave so much lying idle without obtaining any interest upon it. She will reckon up how much she will require for, say, the next 6 months, for house expenses and personal use, and also how much, on the other hand, she will be paid in rents or interest, and will then find that there will be a sum of, at least, say, £300 over and above all she desires to spend. If she is wise, she will draw out this sum by check from her current account, and have it placed on a deposit account. In this case, the bank will give her a deposit receipt or interest note, somewhat in this form. Number 23975, June 26, 1897. Blank's Higher Bank, Blanktown. Received from Miss Jane Smith the sum of £300, to be accounted for with interest at 2.5% per annum, on 14 days' notice of withdrawal. Enter J. Hill T. Dale, Manager. And written across the receipt, not transferable. If the money is at any time wanted in a hurry, banks do not insist upon notice being given to withdraw, but deduct the days of notice from the time the interest note has run. For instance, if the money has been deposited for 184 days, the 14 days of notice will be deducted and interest allowed on 170 days only. These receipts or notes are not transferable, and the repayment of the principal or the interest must be applied for by the owner either personally or by letter. Money may be deposited in a bank in 2 names and be repayable to both conjointly, by either separately, or to the survivor of the 2. The bank will require a form to be signed by both parties, specifying the manner in which it is desired that the money may be deposited. By giving directions, too, the principal may be retained in the name of one person and the interest paid to another. Some banks adopt the plan of book deposits, that is, the amount paid in is entered in a passbook, and the interest credited half-yearly. This may go on accumulating, or it can be drawn out in one sum only, not as in the case of a current account by checks of various amounts. Having thus established relations between Miss Smith and her bankers, let us see at the end, say, of a month, the state of her passbook, premising that in the meantime she has received and paid into the bank some moneys, and also signed and sent checks to some of her tradesmen. The Blank's Higher Bank. Blanktown, Dr. to Miss Jane Smith. Of Blanktown. Cr. 1897, pound, S. D. 1897, pound, S. D. June, 24, to cash. 500, June, 24, by self. 1000, July 8. Dividend consols, 1146. Tucker. 23, 10. 23. Rent from cook, 24, 10. 26. Deposit receipt, 300, 25. GWR dividend, 30, July 1. Figs. 8. 3, 4. 3. Jones. 5, 10, 24. Self. 10, total £565 14. 6D, total £357 3s. 4D. By the entries in the passbook it will be perceived that £565 14. 6D has been paid into the bank, as appears on the left-hand page, and that £357 3s. 4D has been drawn out, as appears on the right-hand page. The balance or difference between the two, amounting to £208 11. 2D remains to the credit of Miss Smith. In this comfortable state of things we will leave Miss Smith, who can now claim to consult her banker in matters of business. He will be able to offer her facilities in various ways. He will hold for her, in safe custody, any deeds or securities, and whilst she is absent from home will take charge of her plate or valuables free of all expense. If she is traveling about the country he will arrange so that her checks on the Blank's Higher Bank may be cashed at any other bank in the kingdom. If she has occasion for it he will send money on her account to some other person's credit at any bank in the kingdom or the civilized world. If she desires to travel abroad, he will obtain a passport for her and provide her with circular notes, which may be turned into money at any place she is likely to visit. He will buy and sell stocks, shares, annuities, and c. for her, and collect dividends, interest, coupons, and c. payable anywhere at home or abroad. He will cheerfully advise her on all matters connected with money, and it will be quite the exception if she does not, in all things, find him a safe and prudent counselor. As a rule, no charge is made by a bank for keeping an account, provided the balance, that is, the amount of money they hold for the customer, technically the credit balance, is not persistently small. If it were always under £50 that would be considered small, but if only occasionally below that figure, and sometimes above £200 for any time, it would generally be exempt from charge. When a charge is made for keeping an account which is not remunerative or free from trouble, it does not amount to much, and is fairly earned. If an advance of money is required for a temporary purpose, the bank will often lend the money by allowing the account to be overdrawn, that is, the balance in the passbook will appear as due to the bank instead of from the bank for the sum required from time to time. This is sometimes convenient when the advance is only required for a short time, as avoiding the necessity for disturbing any investment which otherwise would have to be sold. As a rule, however, though exceptions are made where the customer is absolutely to be depended upon, the bank would desire some security to be deposited. This may take the form of a sufficient portion in value of stocks or shares in which the customer has invested, or sometimes the personal guarantee of one or two responsible persons is accepted. This is quite regular business, and the interest usually charged is fair and reasonable. Chapter 3. London Banks and Banking. The private banks now doing business in London are few in number. The tendency of late years has been to transform these banks into limited liability companies, or to amalgamate with companies of this character. It looks as though, in course of time, private banks will altogether cease to exist, the joint stock banks being better adapted to modern requirements. The private banks do not invite deposit, and interest on accounts is not allowed. They look to the average balance on each account to compensate for the trouble and expense of keeping it, with a considerable margin for profit. They require that not less than a certain fixed sum shall be the minimum balance of a customer's account, But of course, the larger the balance the better for the banker. The balance in some cases may be very large where the bank has a wealthy connection, it being a boast with some rich persons that they have never less than £10,000, or even £20,000 at their bankers. The money so left in the banker's hands is lent out, or invested in various ways, and all that he receives in the shape of interest, after paying the expenses of his establishment, is clear profit. In short, the £500 a year which the customer might obtain if he invested the £20,000 he leaves at the bank, goes to the banker. At the head of the joint stock banks of London is the Bank of England, which, like the private banks, do not take deposits upon which interest is allowed, but rely upon the cash at their disposal in their customers' accounts for their profits. In all other respects their mode of transacting business is much the same as that of other joint stock banks. Accounts may be opened by merchants and traders, and by private individuals of known respectability, and no particular sum is required to be lodged upon open the account. Formerly checks were not allowed to be drawn for a less sum than £10, but now there is no restriction as to the amount. The profits of the bank are chiefly made by discounting bills of exchange, which is done to an enormous extent. A bill of exchange is an instrument by which a party who is owed money by another party, and accords to him the benefit of delay in payment, for a fixed period, draws on him in a form of order to that effect. For instance, the firm of Bullion and Company have sold to John Robinson certain goods, which need not be specified, as the principle applies in all cases, whether it be bankers, merchants, or traders, and for all transactions where one party is indebted to another. The form drawn by Bullion and Company on John Robinson, which requires to be stamped according to the amount, would be as follows. Due November 1st. £500 London, August 29, 1987. 3 months after date paid to our order the sum of £500 for value received. To Mr. John Robinson, Bullion and Company, Merchant, Liverpool. Written across, accepted payable at the Bank of London. J. Robinson. The acceptance of the obligation by John Robinson is written across the face of the document, and he makes it payable, as most bills are for convenience, at a London bank, presumably the London agent of his own bankers at Liverpool. Payment becomes due 3 months after date, with 3 days of grace added according to custom. Probably Bullion and Company would find this £500, if in cash, useful in their business, and supposing the parties to be of good repute, they can readily convert it by discounting this bill at their bankers or at a bill broker, who, deducting a small amount in the shape of discount, will hand over the balance to the firm, or carry it to the credit of his account. It is this discount that constitutes the profit to the banker, and the rate varies according to the value of money, whether it is plentiful or scarce. The rate of discount is supposed to be regulated by the Bank of England, and the bank rate, which is arbitrarily fixed by the directors, is moved up and down, sometimes for other reasons than the value of money, and is supposed to be the rate of discount for bills of the best description. It is found in practice, however, that when there is an abundance of money-seek employment, bills are discounted at lower rates. The Bank of England make purchases and sales of British or foreign securities, and dividends on stocks will be received and placed to account. Exchequer bills, bonds, railway debentures, or any other securities may be deposited, and the interest, when payable, will be received and placed to a customer's account free of charge. Cash boxes, contents unknown, plate chests, and deed and security boxes are also received for customers for safety, free of charge, and all other banking facilities conceded, as are given by the Hire Bank. The other joint stock banks of London transact their business in all respects in the same manner as the Bank of England. In addition, they invite money on deposit, allowing interest on the same. Sums of money lodged on deposit, and they may be by persons who are not otherwise customers, are not carried to a customer's account, but, as in the case of the Hire Bank, are placed on a special form of receipt which is changed for a new one when the interest or any part of the principal is withdrawn. The rate of interest allowed by the Hire Bank, and by the country banks generally, is a fixed one, but that of the London banks is regulated by the value of money, and fluctuates from time to time, notice being given by advertisement in the London newspapers of any change in the rate. Deposits are received by the London bankers. At call, that is, payment may be required on demand, or at an arranged term of notice of repayment. The rate of interest on money at call is less than where notice is required, and the longer the period of notice, the higher the rate of interest. In Scotland there are no private banks, and in Ireland only two. The joint stock banks are numerous, and their mode of business is practically the same as in England. Indeed, the English system is founded on that practiced by the Scotch many years before the joint stock bank was general in England. Chapter 4. Investments. Going back to the parcel of securities which Miss Smith received from her lawyer, we will presume that they represent safe investments of various kinds. It will be prudent, however, to ask her banker to examine them to see if any, in his judgment, might be sold with advantage either on account of doubtful character or exceptionally high price, and the money invested elsewhere. This business the bank will transact for her, and in the matter of investment, in addition to using her own common sense as to the nature of the securities in which she should place her money, she should seek the advice of her banker, and rely very much upon his opinion. The undertakings in which the public are envied to invest their money are so numerous, and the prospects of success so speciously asserted, in good and bad alike, that it is necessary to be extremely cautious in accepting any statements of the kind without rigid examination and proof of their being true and genuine. Otherwise the investment or purchase becomes a speculation, and more than likely, will only end in disaster. The term, securities, applies both to the concerns in which investments are made and to the deeds and documents which represent the investments. Thus a mortgage or a mortgage deed is a security. The government funds, stocks and shares in all companies, bonds, foreign and otherwise, corporation stocks, &c., are all termed securities. A convertible security is one which may be sold in the open market, there being no restriction upon the persons who may hold it. We will now endeavor to put before the reader some account of the various securities in which the public invest their money according to individual choice, and which, with the exception of mortgage on real property, land or houses, may be bought and sold in the stock market through the agency of a banker or broker. Quotations of the market price of these securities may be found in the Stock Exchange List, which is published daily, and can be seen at most bankers' offices. Many of them are also quoted in the daily newspapers. Mortgages. To invest money upon mortgage is to lend it to a person who has house or landed property, and desires to borrow money at a certain specified rate of interest. The title deeds of the property are deposited with the lender of the money, together with a mortgage deed, which describes, in full detail, the terms which may have been agreed upon. The interest is usually made payable half-yearly, and in the event of its payment not being kept up, or the lender desiring the return of his money, the principal sum can be called up, the lender giving 6 months' notice of his intention to do so. If the borrower fails to pay, a process of law has to be instituted, called a foreclosure suit, which, if successful, transfers the absolute ownership of the property into the hands of the lender, so that he can receive the rents as his own, or, if he pleases, sell the property under legal authority. In view of such a contingency, the value of the property should considerably exceed the amount of the money advanced, so as not only to cover the principal sum, but also any arrears of interest, together with law costs and expenses. The usual proportion of an advance on mortgage is 2/3 of the ascertained value of the property, but there might be circumstances which would warrant some variation in the proportion. The mortgage deed should be prepared by the lender's own solicitor, who would see that the property had a good title and use all the precautions necessary in transactions of this kind to guard against fraud and loss, and in many cases a professional valuation of the property would be desirable, as a preliminary, before the advance is entertained at all. Cases have been known where fraudulent persons have borrowed money on mortgages of property conveyed to themselves, but as to which they were trustees only for others. The lenders or mortgagees have, in such cases, no alternative but to give up the deeds and submit to the loss of their money. Debentures are a form of mortgage applicable to the raising of money by a corporation or joint stock company. The company mortgages its property for a certain sum, too large for a single person to advance, so it is divided up into even amounts of, say, £100, the money being secured by debenture bonds, bearing interest at a fixed rate, and being saleable in the stock markets. The funds. What are the funds? The writer has been asked this question over and over again, though it seems scarcely credible that, in these days, any person of ordinary intelligence should be ignorant of the meaning of the term. Unfortunately, these things are not usually taught in our schools. The funds, generally speaking, is the term applied to the national debt of Great Britain, the money borrowed by the government from the people, chiefly for the purpose of carrying on the great wars at the beginning of the present century. For these loans as much as 5% has in former years been paid, but at present 2 3/4 is the rate payable on the great bulk of the debt. The year after the Battle of Waterloo the national debt amounted to 900 millions of money. At the present time it amounts to about 570 millions, and is steadily diminishing. This being the case, there is of course no need of further borrowing at present, but the loans outstanding any portion of them may be bought and sold in the market, that is, any lender may transfer all or any part of his loan to some other person, and as there are, daily, hundreds and thousands of individuals wanting to buy or to sell, there is no difficulty whatever, through the medium of the stock exchange, in arranging so that a person can obtain, or dispose of, the exact amount of stock he desires. The chief method by which the national debt is reduced is described under the head of terminable annuities. Stocks and shares. The stock of an institution or company is a fixed sum forming the capital upon which the concern is carried on, or it is the fixed sum borrowed for certain purposes. Any quantity of stock may be purchased, but shares, which represent the capital of a company, can only be purchased in whole numbers. The nominal or face value of stocks and shares by no means necessarily represents their market value. In fact, it is the exception that they should do so. The market price is continually fluctuating. Thus, if the price of a given stock is quoted in the lists and newspapers at 110, it means that for every £100 of such stock £10 additional has to be paid, and the stock is said to be at 10 premium. If, on the other hand, it is quoted at 90, it means that £100 of such stock can be purchased for £90, and the stock is said to stand at a discount of 10. The interest in either case is of course calculated on the face value, that is, £100. This applies to all kinds of stock on the same principle, the prices varying according to the esteem in which they are held, or, in other words, the credit they have with the moneyed world. The shares of companies, which are only purchasable in whole numbers, are of various denominations, or face values, and again these face values by no means represent the market value. Shares of £5 each, nominal value, may be quoted as selling at 6, which would be 1 premium, but the dividend or interest would be calculated on £5. On the other hand, a £5 share quoted at 4 would be 1 discount, but the dividend or interest would still be calculated on the face value of £5. In very many cases, the whole of the nominal value of a share is not called up, i.e., is not required to be immediately paid. Thus, a £5 share may have only £3 paid upon it, leaving a liability of £2, which the holder may at any time be called upon to pay, whether convenient or not. This should always be borne in mind when purchasing shares of any kind, as the neglect of this precaution has often involved holders in serious difficulties, from being called upon to pay up when least able to do so. The dividend on shares of this kind is calculated only on the amount paid up. Dividends. A dividend is the sum apportioned periodically, in the shape of profit or interest, to holders of stocks and shares. It may be a fixed sum according to the rate of interest, as in the case of the funds, colonial stocks, &c., or a varying sum according to the profits made, as in the case of railway shares and those of other companies. The dividends on the funds and some colonial stocks are paid quarterly, at the beginning of January, April, July, and October. A month prior to the date of payment the stocks are marked XDIV, meaning that any purchase effected after the December 1st, March 1st, June 1st, and September 1st would not carry that quarter's dividend, as it is held in favor of the person whose name is registered on the books on those dates. The interest dependent upon the shares or stocks of companies is usually paid half-yearly, after the periodical meeting, when the accounts are presented and the profits declared. A certain date is fixed when these shares and stocks are saleable. XDIV, or X-interest. Chapter 5. British Government Funds. The safest of all investments are those represented by the national debt of this country, but the rate of interest or annual income derivable therefrom is small. The debt is nominally divided into three parts: the funded debt, the unfunded debt, terminable annuities. The funded debt 1 is permanent. It is represented by consols yielding interest at the rate of 2.5% per annum, or £2.10 a year for every £100 of stock. The government is not under obligation to redeem the principal at any fixed time, but power is reserved to pay off the loan at par, that is, at the rate of £100 for every £100 stock, irrespective of its then selling value, in the year 1905. Another debt of comparatively small amount, bearing interest at 2.75% per annum, may also be paid off at par in 1905. The great bulk of the national debt, amount ing to over 500 million sterling, is represented by what, in stock exchange parlance, is known as Goskin's consols, so called from the Chancellor of the Exchequer of that name, to whom is due the conversion of the old 3% in the year 1888. This stock bears interest at the rate of 2.75% per annum until the year 1903. From that date it is to be reduced to 2.5%, until 1923, when the principal may be paid off at par. There is yet another fixed debt of about 40 million sterling called local loan stock, being money borrowed by the government for the purpose of making advances to corporations for local works. This stock may be redeemed at par in 1912. The unfunded debt, too, consists of loans to the government for temporary purposes. These loans are for various periods varying from 7 days to as many years. They are represented by exchequer bills, exchequer bonds, and treasury bills, which bear interest, according to the value of money at the time they are issued, from day to day. Due notice is given when a loan is to be paid off or renewed, and interest ceases on the day named for redemption. Terminable annuities. Terminable annuities 3 may be regarded as a sinking fund, or means by which a considerable portion of the national debt is paid off every year and the funds proportionately reduced. Thus the government is empowered to give an annuity for a certain number of years in exchange for permanent stock in the funds. For instance, a holder of £1,000 2.75% stock is receiving £27.10 a year in the shape of interest. The government offers to pay double the amount of interest, or £55, if the £1,000 stock is transferred to them, and to continue this £55 a year for 20 years and no longer. At the expiration of that period the interest ceases and the principal sum of £1,000 is struck off the national debt, which is in consequence reduced by that sum. Loans, the interest on which is guaranteed by the British government. These consist of loans to the Government of Canada for railway purposes, upon which 4% per annum is guaranteed. Also loans to the colonies of Jamaica at 4%, and Mauritius at 3%, to the Egyptian government at 3%, and to the Turkish government at 4%. In this latter case the French government joins in the guarantee. These are all perfectly safe investments, so far as the interest or income derived is concerned, but there appears to be no arrangement for the redemption of the loans. The large loans to the Government of India at 3.5% and 3%, repayable in 1931 and 1948, are guaranteed by the Secretary of State for India, practically the British government. Any amount may be invested in the above stocks and annuities through the medium of either a banker through his broker, or by a broker direct. The broker's charge for transacting in consols is 25.60% on the amount invested, but provincial bankers make a further small charge for guaranteeing the business, that is, they protect their customer from any loss that may arise owing to the failure of the broker to carry out the contract. The dividends, interest, or annuity derivable from these investments may be received by personal application of the holder at the Bank of England on certain fixed days, or on signing a printed form furnished on application by the Bank of England, proposed, they will send from time to time without further notice a warrant or order for the amount due, which warrant or order may be paid into a bank account, or, on a proper introduction, cashed at any bank or post office. The simplest plan, however, may be to give your banker a power of attorney to receive the dividends from time to time and place the amount to the credit of your account. Income tax is deducted from all dividends, but if a person is not liable to such tax, by reason of the total income coming within the exemption clause, the amount can be recovered through a surveyor of taxes, as to which the banker would give all the information required. Such information may also be found in detail in a little handy book. Income Tax, and How to Get It Refunded. 1s. 60. Published by Messrs. Effingham, Wilson & Co. The stock of the Bank of England, which may be purchased in any amount, the same as consols, is a favorite investment with some, but the price is so high that the income to be derived therefrom is no more, and sometimes even less, than from the funds. Automatic reinvestment of dividends. Holders of stock in the funds who are not desirous of receiving their dividends, but prefer to have them added half-yearly to the capital sum without further action on their part, are granted facilities by which this may be done automatically, on application to the Bank of England. The instructions apply to amounts of stock of less than £1,000 only. These facilities are also extended to holders of Metropolitan Consolidated Stocks, and to the India 3% and 3.5% stocks. Chapter 6. Government Annuities. The Commissioners for the Reduction of the National Debt, under the authority of Parliament, grant annuities either on single lives, or on 2 lives and the life of the survivor, or on the joint continuance of 2 lives, such annuities to commence immediately. In the case of single lives, the annuity may be made to commence at a future period, and the consideration for it may be paid by the purchaser annually in sums of money not less than £5, but in case of default in keeping up the annual installments, all the annual payments previously made are forfeited, and all right to the annuity is extinguished. Payment for an annuity is made by the transfer of 2.5% consols, or money of equivalent value, at the price of the stock on the day of the transaction. The tables, see page 44, show the annuity which £100 of 2.5% stock will purchase, to continue during the life of a nominee at the respective ages and according to the prices of 2.5% stock therein stated. It will be seen that in the case of money being paid for the purchase of the annuity, the higher the price of consols the dearer will be the purchase. Thus, a female buying an annuity at the age of 50, amounting to £5.19, 8d, per annum, and consols being at par, or 100, would, if she paid for it in money, have to expend £100. But suppose consols to be at 108, as they are at present, she would have to pay £108 for the same annuity. Tables relating to annuities on joint lives and to deferred annuities may be obtained at the National Debt Office, 19, Old Jewry, London, by application direct, or through a bank. No person under the age of 15 can be appointed the nominee for any life annuity. Life annuities are payable quarterly at the National Debt Office, in the form of a warrant on the Bank of England, either on personal demand, or through a bank by power of attorney, or they can be transmitted to the proprietor by post. The fixed dates are the 5th of January, the 5th of April, the 5th of July, and the 5th of October in each year. The first quarterly payment of annuities will become due as follows, namely, on annuities purchased between the 1st of December and the last day of February, on the 5th of April next following the day of purchase. Between the 1st of March and the last day of May, on the 5th of July next following. Between the 1st of June and the last day of August, on the 5th of October next following. Between the 1st of September and the last day of November, on the 5th of January next following. No sum less than £100 of stock or money can be received in the first instance, but it may be added to subsequently in sums of not less than £20. Upon the expiration of any life annuity, a sum equal to 1/4 of the annuity, over and above all quarterly arrears thereof, will be paid to the representatives of the annuitant, if claimed within 2 years after such expiration. Very heavy penalties attached to persons making false statements or declarations in respect of the purchase of an annuity. Per Acts 10 Geo 4, Cap. 24, and 51 and 52 Vic. Cap 15. Tables showing the annuity, continuing during the life of any person of the following ages, which £100 stock in the 2.5% bank annuities will purchase. When the price of £100 of 2.5 per, £100 of 2.5 per, £100 of 2.5 per, age, cent stock exclusive, age, of accrued dividend, of the nominee, lies between, nominee. £94.15.9 and £95.13.11, £95.13.11 and £96.12.5, £96.12.5 and £97.11.3. Male, female, male, female, male, female, pound S, D, 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 15, 412, 315 3, 417, 315 7, 420, 315 11, 15, 16, 4110, 315 9, 423, 316 1, 428, 316 6, 16, 17, 427, 316 4, 430, 316 8, 435, 317 1, 17, 18, 434, 316 11, 439, 317 3, 443, 317 8, 18, 19, 442, 317 6, 447, 317 11, 450, 318 3, 19, 20, 4411, 318 2, 455, 318 6, 4510, 318 11, 20, 21, 459, 318 9, 462, 319 2, 468, 319 7, 21, 22, 467, 319 5, 471, 319 10, 476, 403, 22, 23, 476, 401, 4711, 406, 485, 4011, 23, 24, 484, 4010, 4810, 413, 494, 418, 24, 25, 493, 416, 499, 420, 4103, 425, 25, 26, 4103, 424, 4109, 429, 4113, 432, 26, 27, 4113, 431, 4119, 436, 4123, 440, 27, 28, 4123, 4311, 4129, 444, 4133, 4410, 28, 29, 4133, 449, 411310, 452, 4144, 458, 29, 30, 4144, 457, 41411, 461, 4155, 467, 30, 31, 4156, 466, 4160, 470, 4167, 476, 31, 32, 4167, 476, 4172, 480, 4179, 486, 32, 33, 411710, 486, 4185, 490, 4190, 496, 33, 34, 4190, 496, 4197, 4110, 503, 4106, 34, 35, 504. 4107, 5011, 4111, 516, 4118, 35, 36, 518, 4119, 523, 4123, 5211, 4129, 36, 37, 530, 4111, 538, 4135, 543, 4140, 37, 38, 545, 4142, 551, 4148, 559, 4153, 38, 39, 5511, 4155, 567, 4160, 573, 4167, 39, 40, 576, 411610, 582, 4175, 5810, 4180, 40, 41, 591, 4183, 599, 4110, 5106, 4195, 41, 42, 5109, 4199, 5116, 5, 04, 5122, 510, 42, 43, 5126, 514, 5133, 520, 5140, 527, 43, 44, 5145, 530, 5151, 538, 5111, 544, 44, 45, 5164, 5410, 5171, 556, 517110, 562, 45, 46, 5184, 569, 5191, 575, 5111, 582, 46, 47, 606, 589, 613, 596, 621, 5102, 47, 48, 629, 5111, 637, 5118, 645, 5125, 48, 49, 652, 5133, 660, 5140, 6611, 5149, 49, 50, 678, 5157, 687, 5165, 695, 5172, 50, 51, 6105, 5181, 6113, 5111, 6122, 5199, 51, 52, 6133, 609, 6142, 617, 6152, 625, 52, 53, 6164, 637, 6174, 645, 6184, 654, 53, 54, 6198, 667, 708, 676, 718, 685, 54, 55, 732, 6910, 743, 6108, 753, 6118, 55, 56, 770, 6133, 781, 6142, 792, 6152, 56, 57, 7112, 6170, 7123, 61711, 7135, 61811, 57, 58, 7158, 7011, 71610, 7111, 718 7211, 58, 59, 807, 751, 819, 762, 830, 773, 59, 60, 8510, 796, 870, 7108, 884, 7119, 60, 61, 8113, 7144, 8127, 7156, 8131, 716 61, 62, 8161, 719 8183, 807, 8198, 8110, 62, 63, 930, 8410, 945, 861, 9510, 874, 63, 64, 995, 8108, 9111, 8120, 9125, 8134, 64, 65, 9163, 8172, 9110, 8186, 9195, 8111, 65, per Ax 10 Geo 4, Cap 24, and 51 and 52 Vic. Cap 15. Tables showing the annuity, continuing during the life of any person of the following ages, which £100 stock in the 2.5% bank annuities will purchase. When the price of £100 of 2.5 per, £100 of 2.5 per, £100 of 2.5 per, age, cent stock exclusive, age, of accrued dividend, of the nominee, lies between, is above, nominee, £97.11.3 and £98.10.6, £98.10.6 and £99.10.1, £99.10.1, male, female, male, female, male, female, dash, pound S, D, 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 15, 425, 316 4, 4210, 316 8, 433, 317 0, 15, 16, 431, 316 10, 437, 317 3, 440, 317 7, 16, 17, 4311, 317 5, 444, 317 10, 449, 318 3, 17, 18, 448, 318 0, 451, 318 5, 457, 318 10, 18, 19, 456, 318 8, 4511, 319 1, 465, 319 6, 19, 20, 463, 319 4, 469, 319 8, 473, 401, 20, 21, 472, 400, 477, 405, 481, 4010, 21, 22, 480, 408, 486, 411, 490, 416, 22, 23, 4811, 414, 495, 419, 4911, 423, 23, 24, 4910, 421, 410 4, 426, 410 430, 24, 25, 410 9, 4210, 411 4, 433, 411 10, 439, 25, 26, 411 9, 437, 412 3, 441, 412 10, 446, 26, 27, 412 9, 443, 413 4, 4411, 413 10, 45, 4, 27, 28, 413 10, 453, 414 4, 459, 414 11, 463, 28, 29, 414 11, 462, 415 6, 467, 416 0, 471, 29, 30, 416 0, 470, 416 7, 476, 417 2, 480, 30, 31, 417 2, 480, 417 9, 486, 418 4, 490, 31, 32, 418 4, 490, 418 11, 496, 419 6, 410 0, 32, 33, 419 7, 410 0, 502, 4106, 5010, 4111, 33, 34, 5010, 4111, 516, 4117, 521, 4122, 34, 35, 52, 2, 4122, 5210, 4129, 535, 4134, 35, 36, 536, 4134, 542, 4111, 5410, 4146, 36, 37, 5411, 4147, 557, 4152, 564, 4159, 37, 38, 565, 4110, 571, 4165, 5710, 4170, 38, 39, 5711, 4172, 588, 4179, 5_19_4, 4185, 39, 40, 596, 4187, 5103, 4192, 5110, 4110, 40, 41, 5113, 501, 5111, 508, 5128, 514, 41, 42, 51211, 518, 5, 138, 523, 5146, 530, 42, 43, 5149, 533, 5156, 540, 5164, 548, 43, 44, 5168, 550, 5176, 559, 5183, 565, 44, 45, 5188, 5611, 5_11_6, 577, 604, 584, 45, 46, 609, 5810, 617, 597, 625, 5104, 46, 47, 630, 5111, 6310, 5118, 648, 5126, 47, 48, 653, 5132, 662, 5131, 671, 5149, 48, 49, 679, 5156, 688, 5164, 697, 5, 171, 49, 50, 610, 5180, 611, 5110, 612, 5198, 50, 51, 613, 666, 614, 615, 615, 623, 51, 52, 616, 633, 617, 642, 618, 650, 52, 53, 619, 662, 704, 671, 715, 680, 53, 54, 728, 694, 739, 610, 7410, 611, 54, 55, 764, 612, 775, 613, 787, 614, 55, 56, 710, 616, 711, 617, 712, 618, 56, 57, 714, 6, 700, 715, 710, 716, 721, 57, 58, 719, 740, 805, 751, 818, 762, 58, 59, 843, 784, 856, 796, 8610, 710, 59, 60, 897, 712, 810, 714, 812, 715, 60, 61, 815, 717, 816, 719, 818, 804, 61, 62, 910, 831, 926, 844, 940, 858, 62, 63, 973, 888, 989, 810, 9104, 8114, 63, 64, 91311, 8148, 9156, 816, 1, 9171, 8176, 64, 65, 1010, 914, 1027, 929, 1044, 943, 65, 66, 1085, 98. Insurance Office Annuities. Some of the insurance offices grant immediate annuities. Of course, in purchasing a life annuity from an insurance office, it is necessary to ensure as far as is humanly possible that an annuity will be paid for life. This not only depends upon the present solvency of the company, but upon that solvency being maintained. There is not much difficulty, however, in selecting from amongst the numerous well-established companies, with proper advice, one that will answer every requirement. The following table shows the amount of an annuity granted by the undermentioned companies for every £100 paid. The age last birthday is that upon which the payment is based, and the initial letters M and F indicate the rates for male and female lives. The ages quoted range from 50 to 70 years, but the terms for purchasing an annuity at any age can be obtained at the insurance office. By a few companies distinguished thus, the proportionate amount of annuity is payable to the day of death. Office, age 50, age 52, age 55, age 58, age 60, age 62, age 65, age 70, pound S, D, 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 British Empire Mutual, M, 746, 7102, 802, 81210, 932, 9146, 10144, 12164, M, F, 6120, 6170, 762, 7174, 862, 8162, 914. 4, 111510, F, Caledonian, M, 762, 7120, 828, 8160, 970, 9192, 1100, 13510, M, F, 6118, 6170, 762, 71711, 870, 8157, 91310, 111411, F, City of Glasgow, M, 756, 7116, 820, 8156, 966, 9186, 10190, 1346, M, F, 6126, 6176, 775, 7179, 867, 8160, 914110, 11147, F, Eagle, M, 7510, 7116, 8110, 8150, 958, 9176, 10180, 1314, M, F, 611210, 6182, 776, 7192, 884, 8188, 9176, 1204, F, Economic, M, 756, 7116, 8110, 8154, 964, 9184, 10198, 13410, M, F, 6124, 6178, 774, 7192, 884, 8190, 9184, 1228, F, Edinburgh, M, 746, 7106, 814, 81410, 962, 9186, 1100, 12196, M, F, 6112, 6168, 766, 7186, 880, 8110, 9186, 11178, F. English and Scottish, M. 710 716 8. 8610, 8910, 9102, 1028, 1132, 1364, M. Law, F. 612 617 774, 719 886, 81810, 918 1119 F. Friends Provident, M. 615 7010, 710 818, 810 909, 91810, 1118 M. F. 658, 610 619 11, 711 719 11, 8911, 971, 1147, F. General, M. 748, 71110, 8310, 817 972, 918 1120, 1386, M. F. 613 61810, 792, 812, 810, 819 915 1110 F. Gresham, 618 740, 714 867, 816 9711, 1081, 1211 Guardian, M. 619 754, 715 890, 819 911 1012, 1215 M. F. 666, 611 716, 713 824, 812 911 1114 F. Hand in Hand, M. 734, 794, 800, 813 942, 916 1017 1314 M. F. 610 615 754, 717 866, 817 916 1119 F. Law Union and Crown, M. 728, 784, 718 812 928, 914 1015 1302 M. F. 6910, 615 748, 715 8410, 815 914 1117 F. Legal and General, M. 720, 776, 818 813 952, 917 1017 M. F. 6710, 613 720, 713 8110, 812 968 F. Life Association of M. 760, 712 828, 816 970, 919 1106, 1348 M. Scotland, F. 61210, 618 7710, 719 890, 819 919 1226 F. Liverpool and London, M. 744, 710 814, 815 964, 919 11010, 1378 M. and Globe, F. 61010, 616 764, 718 880, 819 919 12410 F. London. Edinburgh, M. 850, 811 918, 915 1068, 1019 1212, 14710 M. and Glasgow, F. 711 716 862, 818 980, 918 1018 13410 F. Marine and General, M. 617 733, 713 850, 814 970, 1010 1212 M. Mutual, F. 643, 696, 618 710-6, 719-6, 896, 983, 1110-6, F. National Life, M. 711-3, 717-3, 8711, 915, 912-7, 10410, 1165, 1312-3, M. F. 617-9, 733, 713-0, 8411, 814-4, 952, 1049, 12910, F. National Provident, M. 615-4, 7010, 710-4, 818, 810-6, 908, 918-10, 1118-6, M. F. 658, 610-8, 619-10, 711-0, 719-10, 8910, 970, 1146, F. North British and M. 754, 711-4, 8110, 815-2, 962, 918-2, 1019-4, 1346, M. Mercantile, F. 612-2, 617-6, 772, 719-0, 882, 818-10, 918-2, 1226, F. Northern, M. 718, 770, 716-6, 888, 818-6, 994, 1086, 1288, M. F. 696, 614-4, 730, 713-10, 822, 811, M. 680, 613-4, 722, 712-10, 810, 810-6, 9710, 1186, M. F. 626, 676, 616-0, 762, 714-0, 832, 819-10, 1018-6, F. Standard, M. 619-4, 750, 715-1, 8710, 818-5, 910-0, 1010-3, 1279, M. F. 698, 615-0, 744, 716-0, 851, 815-6, 914-5, 1171, F. Star, M. 739, 710-6, 821, 815-8, 955, 916-7, 1017-2, 1301, M. F. 614-4, 619-11, 796, 8011, 8911, 901, 918-6, 1115-8, F. Sun, of India, M. 7510, 712-0, 8210, 816-8, 980, 1004, 1122, 1388, M. F. 612-6, 618-0, 7710, 800, 898, 908, 1006, 1260, F. United Kingdom, M. 615-0, 706, 710-3, 826, 815-11, 933, 1003, 1210, M. Temperance, F. 6211, 680, 616-11, 765, 716-4, 860, 934, 1123, F. Yorkshire, M. 712, 776, 718-0, 810-4, 900, 911-6, 1011-0, 1215-0, M. F. 680, 613-6, 720, 712-6, 826, 813-6, 912-0, 1112-0, F. Dash, dash, dash. Post Office, Government, M. 613-4, 6, 19-2, 7910, 832, 814-0, 960, 10610, 121010, M. Ans. F. 606, 660, 615-8, 776, 716-8, 874, 964, 1196, F Equitable U States M 710 715 9 862 819 3 9910 1019 1118 1217 11 M Mutual New York F 616 9 721 711 6 831 812 928 1009 1117 8 F New York Indian government stocks. These stocks stand as high in the estimation of the public as the British government funds. They consist of loans raised in this country for the use of the Indian government, and are two in number, bearing interest respectively at the rate of 3 and 3.5%. There is also what is termed a rupee paper loan, raised in India at 3.5% per annum. The interest is paid in the currency of the country, which is the rupee, and that coin being worth only a little more than half its nominal value in this country, the investor in this stock would receive in the shape of interest little more than half the £3.10 a year. The price of the stock in the market is consequently in the same proportion, and at the present moment is about £62 for every £100 stock. Chapter 7. Loans to Corporations and Counties of the United Kingdom. These are loans raised by boroughs and counties, and other authorities in this country, for local purposes, upon the security of the rates or other assured income. Before the money is borrowed, the consent of the local government board is necessary to make the loan legal, and evidence is required that the resources of the borrowers are ample to meet their obligations. On most of these stocks the rate of interest is 3%, though there are some few at 3.5%. The principal is redeemable at fixed dates, or by a sinking fund, that is, by setting aside so much a year to pay off the loan at a fixed time, or as opportunity offers. For instance, in times when money is scarce or dear, there is a probability of these stocks falling below their par value, and the sinking fund is then used to buy the stock in the market. Thus the corporation may be able in effect to pay off a loan of £100 for £90 or £95, whatever the price may be, and so gain the amount of the difference. Investments in securities of this kind may be considered absolutely safe, although certainly there is the contingent risk of a town, after borrowing up to its full powers, drifting into decay from the loss of its staple trade, and so finding itself unable to meet its obligations. The investor should, however, find no difficulty in discovering where such a contingency would be possible. The interest on these loans is usually sent direct to the stockholders, by means of an order on a bank. Colonial government securities. Loans made to the various colonies of Great Britain have always been a favorite mode of investing money, as they command a better rate of interest. At least they have done so in the past, although the confidence which the colonies have succeeded in inspiring now enables them to borrow money at a low rate of interest. At the same time, the old stocks have advanced to a very considerable premium. Experience has shown that, so far, the investment has been a safe one, although great fluctuations have from time to time taken place in the value of some of the stocks, owing to a check in prosperity, depression of trade, or diminished confidence in the stability of the colony from various causes. These transient clouds have, however, in time, passed away, and confidence has again been established. The investors should be able readily to distinguish between those colonies which are permanently settled and not likely to be seriously affected by any passing crisis, and others in a less fortunate or advanced position. And he would do well, if adversity should at any time overtake a colony, and so send down the value of its stock, to avoid selling out in a panic, but to consider whether the circumstances are such that the crisis may pass off at no distant date, and confidence be restored. It should be remembered that there are always speculators who, at such times, endeavor to intensify a crisis, in order that prices may be forced down, and that they may be thereby enabled to acquire stocks at low prices from timid holders. There are two modes of investing in these securities: 1. Inscribed or registered stock. 2. Bonds. In the case of inscribed or registered stock, any amount can be invested, and the same is registered in the books of the Bank of England or elsewhere, in the name of the investor, in the same way as the government funds. The dividend or interest is sent to the owner's address by an order payable at a bank, half-yearly or quarterly, as the case may be, or it may, on written instructions being sent to the agents, be transmitted to the credit of the account of the holder at his own bankers periodically. This is by far the best plan. It saves trouble and risk, and for the matter of that, something in postage. It is, moreover, the method much preferred by the agents themselves, and it involves no additional expense. The following is a list of the inscribed stocks of the colonial governments, with an example of the way in which the market price, which of course varies almost from day to day, is quoted. Colonial Government inscribed stocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dash, 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 pound, pound, 100, 000, 100, 000, March 1st. 1 September, August 4th, 4, Antigua 4% inscribed stock, 1919 to 44, 115 to 117, 375, 000, 375, 000, 15 Mar. 15 September, August 17th, 3.5, Barbados 3.5% inscribed stock, 1925 to 42, 109 to 111, 1, 120, 000, 969, 940, January 1st, July 1st, December 16th, 3, British Columbia, Province of 3% INSC. Stock, 1941, 101 to 103, 194, 500, 15 January 15th July, December 16th, 4, British Guiana 4% inscribed, 1935, 118 to 120, 7, 505, 800, 7, 505, 800, May 1st November 1st. October 19th, 4, Canada 4% stock registered, 1904-4-6-8, 105 to 111, 3, 975, 614, 3, 975, 614, January 1st July 1st, December 15th, 4, due. 4% reduced, late 5%, registered, 1910, 109 to 111, 4, 550, 300, 4, 550, 300, June 1st December, November 16th, 3 1/2, due. 3.5% stock registered, 1909 to 34, 107 to 109, 3, for 31, 700, 3, for 31, 700, January 1st July, December 15th, 4, due. 4% loan for £4 million, 1910 to 35, 110 to 112, 10, 939, 834, 9, 978, 021. 3 due. 3% stock registered, 1938, 102 to 104, 3000, 000, 2, 115, 152, June 1st December 1st, November 16th. 4. Cape of Good Hope 4% stock registered, 1917 to 23, 117 to 119, 3, 769, for 65, 3, 769, for 65. 4. Due. Loan of 1883, inscribed, 1923, 119 to 121, 9, 997, 566, 9, 997, 566, 15 APL. October 15th, October 2nd, 4, due. 4% consolidated SDK INS. 1916 to 36, 116 to 118, 5, 154, 272, January 1st July 1st, December 16th, 3.5, due. 3.5% consolidated INS. SDK, 1929 to 49, 115 to 117, 1076, 100, 1070, 100, 15 February 15th August, January 16th, 4, Ceylon 4% inscribed stock, 1934, 123 to 125, 1, for 50, 000, 1 for 50. 000, May 1st, November 1st. October 2nd, 3, due. 3% inscribed stock, 1940, 104 to 106, 123, 670, 123, 670, 15 May 15th NOV. October 16th, 4, Grenada 4% inscribed stock, 1917 to 42, 115 to 117, 341, 800, 341, 800, 15 April 15th October, 16 September, 3 1/2, Hong Kong 3.5% inscribed stock, 1918 to 43, 107 to 110, 1. 086, 241, 16 February 16th August, January 16th, 4, Jamaica 4% inscribed stock, 1934, 120 to 122, 480, 749, 480, 759, February 1st August 1st, January 2nd, 4, Mauritius 4% inscribed stock, 1937, 121 to 123, 282, 481, 15 May 15th NOV. October 16th, 4, NATO 4% consolidated stock, inscribed, 1927, 120 to 122, 3, 026, 444, 3, 026, 444, April 1st October 1st, 1 September, 4, due. 1937, 123 to 125, 3, 714, 917, 3, 714, 917, June 1st October 1st, November 3rd. 3.5, due. 3.5% inscribed stock, 1914 to 39, 107.5-108.5, 320, 000, 320, 000, January 1st July 1st, December 16th, 4, Newfoundland inscribed, 1913 to 38, 109 to 111, 550, 000, 550, 000, 4 due. 4% inscribed stock, 1935, 110 to 112, 200, 000, 200, 000, 4 due. 4% consolidated stock inscribed, 1936, 110 to 112. 9, 686, 300, 9, 686, 300, January 1st July 1st, December 2nd, 4, New South Wales stock, inscribed, 1933, 120 to 122, 16, 500, 000, 16, 500, 000, April 1st October 1st, 2 September, 3.5, due. 3.5% stock, inscribed, 1924, 110 to 111, 12, 826, 200, March 1st. 1 September, August 5th, 3 1/2, due. 3.5% stock, inscribed, 1918, 109 to 110, 4, 000, 000, 4, 000, 000, April 1st October 1st, 2 September, 3, due. 3% inscribed stock, 1935, 101.5-102.5, 29, 150, 302, 29, 150, 302, May 1st November 1st. October 2nd, 4, New Zealand 4% consolidated stock inscribed, 1929, 115 to 116, 5, 960, 588, 5, 960, 588, January 1st July 1st, December 2nd, 3 1/2, due. 3.5% stock, 1940, 105.5-106.5, 1, 527, 000, 1, 526, 620, April 1st October 1st, 2 September, 3, due. 3% inscribed, 1945, 100.5-101.5, 10, 866, 900, 10, 866, 900, January 1st, July 1st, December 2nd, 4, Queensland Stock Inscribed, 1915 to 24, 113 to 115, 8, 516, 734, 8, 516, 734. 3.5, due. 3.5% inscribed, April 30th, 1921, 105.5-106.5, 1, 250,000, 1, 250,000. 3.5, due. 3.5% due. 1945, 107.5-108.5, 85, for 90, 85, for 80, 15 February 15th August, January 16th, 4, St. Lucia 4% inscribed stock, 1919 to 44, 112 to 114, 7, 721, 000, 7, 721, 000. April 1st, October 1st, 11 September, 4, S. Australia, loans of 1882-3-4-5-6-7, Reg. 1916 to 36, 112 to 114, 2, 850, 713, 2, 517, 800, January 1st, July 1st, December 14th, 3.5, due. 3.5% inscribed stock registered, 1939, 111 to 113, 839, 500, 839, 500. 3 due. 3% due. Due. 1916 to 26, 97.5, 98.5, 3, 546, 500, 3, 546, 500, January 1st, July 1st, December 16th, 3.5, Tasmanian 3.5% inscribed stock, 1920 to 40, 106 to 108, 1, 000, 000, 1, 000, 000, 4 due. 4% due. 1920 to 40, 114 to 116, 100, 000, 100, 000, 15 Mar. 15 September, August 17th, 4, Trinidad 4% inscribed stock, 1917 to 42, 114 to 116, 3, 365, 300, 3, 365, 300, January 1st, July 1st, December 16th, 4, Victoria 4% railway loan, 1881, inscrib. Stock, 1907, 106 to 108, 9, 358, 200, 9, 358, 200, April 1st, October 1st, 16 September, 4, due. Loans of March 4th, 1882, inscrib. Stock, 1908-13-19, 107 to 113, 6, 000, 000, 6, 000, 000, January 1st, July 1st, December 16th, 4, due. Loan of 1885, inscribed stock, 1920, 112 to 114, 12, 000, 000, 12, 000, 000, 3.5, due. 3.5% inscribed stock, March 6, 1921, 104.5-105.5, 2, 107,000, 2, 107,000, 4 due. 4% inscribed stock, 1911 to 26, 108 to 110, 961, 277, 961, 277, 15 January 15th July, December 16th, 4, Western Australia 4% inscribed stock, 1934, 121 to 123, 1, 876, 000, 1, 876, 000, 15 April 15th October, October 2nd, 4, due. 4% inscribed stock, 1911 to 31, 112 to 114, 750, 000, 750, 000, May 1st, November 1st. October 16th, 3 1/2, due. 3.5% inscribed stock, 1915 to 35, 110 to 112, 750, 000, 750, 000. 3 due. 3% inscribed stock, 1915 to 35, 98 to 99. The numbered columns are explained as follows: 1. The amount of loan authorized to be raised. 5. The rate of interest on the loan. 2. The amount actually owing. 6. The name of the country borrowing. 3. When the interest is payable. 7. When the loan is repayable, thus 1919 or 1944. 4. When X interest. 8. The price for every £100 of stock. Colonial government bonds, the other form of investment, are paper or parchment documents on which are printed all details of the particular loan taken up by the colony, the nature of the security the lender has in advancing his money, the rate of interest, and when and how the principal is to be repaid. These bonds are payable to bearer, and pass from hand to hand without any formal transfer, so that as much care is necessary in safekeeping them, as with banknotes. Attached to these bonds are little coupons or slips of paper, each one representing a half or quarter year's interest, from the date of purchase to the time when the principal is to be paid off. The coupon bears the name of the bank or agency where it may be cashed, and any banker will negotiate it. Of course, only the coupon for the interest actually due on the date indicated on the face must be cut off. Foreign government stocks. These represent money borrowed by various foreign countries on the security of their credit or solvency, and the loans stand to them in the same relationship as the British government funds do to this country. The debts are chiefly represented by bonds, the same as colonial government bonds, and with coupons attached, which, whether payable in England or their own country, are collected by bankers in the same manner. Such European states as Germany, France, Russia, Denmark, Sweden, and Italy always enjoy good credit, and they may be considered responsible for their financial engagements. In the case of Italy, however, it must be remembered that the Italian income tax, amounting to 20%, is deducted from the interest, which has also to bear the English income tax, whatever at the time it may be. When investing in colonial or foreign bonds, especial care is necessary in observing the conditions of repayment. Sometimes it is at the option of the borrower, but usually at a certain specified date. Neglect of this precaution may lead to an investor purchasing at a premium, and sooner than expected being paid off at par. Some of these loans, too, are paid off by annual installments, lots being drawn to determine the bonds to be redeemed. If the bonds, therefore, have been bought at a premium, there is always the risk of their being drawn for payment and paid off at par. On the other hand, if the bonds are bought at a discount, there is no danger of loss, and a profit will be realized should they be drawn for payment. For instance, a £100 bond is purchased at 4 premium, costing £104. If the bond is paid off at par, or £100, there is obviously a loss of £4, but if the bond is purchased at 4 discount, cost £96, it is equally obvious that, if paid off at par, there would be a gain of £4. Railways. Next to the British government funds, by far the largest amount of money is invested in English railways. First in order of safety, as an investment, is the debenture stock of a railway company. This is the first charge on the railway, and holders of the stock are paid the interest thereon in priority to all other stocks. In the event of the failure of the company, they must also be fully satisfied as to principal and interest before anyone else can receive a penny. Any amount of stock, odd or even, may be purchased through a banker or broker, and warrants for the interest are forwarded half-yearly to the address of the registered holder. The debenture stocks of good English railways command a high premium, and the investment, therefore, though undoubtedly safe, does not yield much in the way of interest. Guaranteed stocks are of various kinds and rank, some on the same level as, and others next in order to debenture stocks. In some cases, the interest is guaranteed by another railway. Before investing in these stocks, the nature of the guarantee should be ascertained and its value taken into consideration. Preference stocks and shares come next in rank as an investment. The interest on these is fixed at a certain rate %, and, after satisfying the preceding stocks, must be paid in full, or if there is not sufficient profit in the year to pay in full, then as much as means will allow. But any deficiency cannot be carried on to the next year, and so it is lost to the holders. There are several degrees of preference stock, some taking precedence of others as to interest. A first preference may be as good as debenture stock, whilst the last preference of the same railway company may be no better than ordinary stock. Preference stock may be purchased in any amount in the market, and the interest warrants are sent half-yearly to the registered holders. Ordinary stocks depend on the profits for the year for the interest they yield, and thus afford a wide field for speculation. The stocks of the great English lines may be relied upon as a good investment, the profits being steady and sufficient to assure a fair amount of interest after satisfying the prior claims of debenture and preference stocks. Ordinary stock may also be purchased in any amount, and the warrants for interest are sent half-yearly to registered holders of stock. In all cases, railway warrants of every kind will, upon written request to the Secretary of the Railway Company, be forwarded periodically to the bankers of the holder of the stock for the credit of his or her account. Indian Railway Stocks. These are a favorite investment with the British public. They consist of debenture, guaranteed, and ordinary stocks. The debenture stocks are similar to those of British Railways, and are a first charge on the undertaking. The guaranteed stocks are those upon which there is an undertaking by the Secretary of State for India that the interest shall not be less at any time than they are stated to bear, any deficiency in the earnings being made up by the government. Should the earnings be more than sufficient to pay the stated interest, the surplus is divided between the government and the railway company. Annuities may be purchased in some of these railways, that is to say, by paying, we will assume, £30 as the market price. An annuity of £1 a year will be granted for a certain number of years. In dealing with these, it is necessary to ascertain when the annuity ceases, or the investor, have sunk the capital sum, may cease to receive any income therefrom when least expected. Warrants for interest on these stocks are periodically sent to registered holders. American Railways. The stocks and shares of Canadian and American railways offer a more remunerative return than English railways, as they may be purchased at much lower prices. They are subject, however, to speculative influences of many sorts, and can hardly be recommended for safe permanent investment. No venture should certainly be made in these stocks without full knowledge of the position and prospects of the railway company, and the contingencies to which it may be subject. Any banker would obtain for a customer all the information that could be afforded in regard to these stocks, and indicate their market value as an investment, apart from the fictitious value induced by speculators, and the maneuvers of syndicates and wire pullers. Foreign railways. The capital of foreign railways consists of obligations, stocks, and shares. The obligations are in the form of bonds, being a first charge on the railway. The bonds vary in amount, but chiefly represent £100 and £20, and they bear a certain rate of interest. Some of the continental railways may offer a fair investment in this way, but great care is required in the selection. The stocks and shares of some of the South American railways command a high premium, but of the whole number quoted in the official list, a large majority show a heavy decline on the original value, many indeed being valueless. These stocks are highly speculative and subject to be affected by political convulsions and other contingencies, which make them undesirable as an investment. Banks. A joint stock bank is composed of a number of proprietors who hold the shares which make up the capital of the bank, and to the nominal amount of these shares their liability is limited. The whole of this amount, however, is not paid up, but only sufficient for the working requirements of the bank, the remainder being held in reserve for contingencies. Let us take, for instance, the London and Westminster Bank, which has the largest capital of all the joint stock banks. The capital amounts to £14 million, made up of 140,000 shares of £100 each. Only £20 of this £100 is paid up, leaving a liability of £80 on every share. A joint stock bank is governed by a board of directors, elected by the shareholders, and managers and other officers are appointed by the board to conduct the business. Many of these banks, besides having a head establishment in London, have branches all over the country. Every joint stock bank is compelled by law to publish its accounts so as to show its position, and these accounts are presented to a yearly or half-yearly meeting of the shareholders for approval. The British colonies have a good many joint stock banks, with agencies in London. By a permissive act passed in 1825, the shareholders in most of these are liable for double the amount of their shares. The profits of banking have been, in times past, very large, and the original shareholders of the older banks have reaped the advantage thereof, but bank shares of good repute are not now to be obtained except at a high premium. The dividends are sent half-yearly to the address of the shareholders, and they are not liable to income tax, as the bank pays this. Any one entitled to exemption from income tax can claim from the surveyor of taxes the amount the bank has paid in respect of the dividend, on a certificate from the bank to that effect. See note, page 39. Individuals of a timorous disposition, if they value their peace of mind, would do well to avoid investing their money in bank shares. There are banks whose position and stability are above suspicion, and which return handsome dividends to their shareholders. But there have been cases of banks, enjoying unlimited confidence, which have unexpectedly collapsed and overwhelmed their shareholders in ruin. The nervous person, therefore, who could not read of the collapse of a bank without a fearful apprehension that his own would be the next to go, had better be content with a smaller rate of interest and a tranquil mind therewith. The more sanguine investor who desires a good rate of interest for his money, and has a contempt for contingencies, should at least have some knowledge of accounts, and be able to form some estimate of the position of a bank from the annual balance sheet, and should carefully ascertain what immediate contingent liability he would be subject to in the event of collapse. Colonial and foreign corporation stocks. These represent money borrowed by municipalities and trusts in colonial and foreign towns, and the security offered consists of rates and revenues from the various undertakings, such as harbors, gas and waterworks, city improvements, and sea, in which the loans are invested. The loans are mostly represented by bonds, to which coupons are attached for interest, and are repayable at a certain specified date. Although they do not command the high credit of British corporation loans, yet some of the colonial towns are in fair repute as an investment, and the rate of interest is high enough to tempt a large amount of money from this country. Towns of some size in our colonies, and thoroughly settled, may be relied upon to carry out their obligations, but mushroom cities and foreign places liable to political fluctuations should be looked upon with suspicion. Canals and docks. These offer but a limited area for investment. They were formerly very popular with the British investor, but rival interests and labor troubles have affected the confidence in which they were held, and the ordinary stocks are mostly at a considerable discount. Gas and electric lighting companies, trams and omnibus companies, telegraphs, telephones, waterworks, and sea, must all be judged by the localities which they serve and the amount of business they are likely to command. As permanent investments, it should be considered whether they are likely to suffer by supersession or opposition, and if they are managed by a trustworthy, competent board of directors. Breweries. Among the numerous commercial undertakings offering for investment, brewery companies form a class of themselves, and with few exceptions, the English companies appear to have done well, and the shares of the best of them stand at a high premium. Properly managed in dealing in an article of universal consumption, brewery companies ought to be a trustworthy investment, but they are liable to much fluctuation. The shares of one of the leading concerns, which now stand at about 150 for the £100 share, were only 4 years ago as low as 28, and at the same time only half the interest was paid on the preference shares. American brewery companies are liable to be manipulated by cliques and syndicates, and should be avoided as an investment. Commercial and industrial companies. Speaking generally, taking shares in this class of property is like purchasing tickets in a lottery in which the prizes are not numerous. It may fairly be said that at least 3/4 of these companies are formed for the purpose of relieving private owners of concerns which were on the verge of failure through some cause or another. It would be palpably foolish for a man or a firm doing a prosperous business to give it up into other hands, unless such a price could be obtained for it as would be almost ruinous to the purchaser. True it is that in the remaining quarter may be found perfectly legitimate undertakings formed into companies, owing to the death of the owner, deficient capital, or some other valid reason. Some of these flourish and take root, others are prosperous for a time and gradually die out. After a time it will be found that few remain which could be recommended for a permanent investment, and much informa tie-in has to be sought and acquired before the venture should be made. There are, of course, many persons who have the means of acquiring reliable information about a company, and are able to form a sound opinion as to its prospects, but the information is derived from personal knowledge and not from kind friends or from public prints, which are not always to be trusted. These persons purchase shares either for investment or as a speculation, in this latter case with a no-ledge or, at all events, a safe presumption that they will go to a premium, that is, rise in value to considerably more than their nominal amount, either from their own merits, or from an active demand for them on the part of the public, or by artificial stimulation. The holders know pretty well when the highest price has been reached, and then sell out with great advantage to themselves. It is often at that moment that the tyro is recommended to buy, or is seized with a desire to have a share in so good a concern, and parts with his money. The knowing speculator has taken his profit, and sees with grim satisfaction the shares gradually declining in value, until they arrive at the position of more than 1/3 of existing companies which are now quoted at a discount. Financial land and investment companies. These companies are mostly formed for the purpose of employing their capital in the colonies, where money commands a higher rate of interest, and can be more profitably employed than in this country. Some of the older concerns have been successful, but of the whole number of existing companies at least 1/2, judging from the price of their shares, have been failures. The difficulty with these concerns would seem to be the want of direct control, their business having chiefly to be conducted by agents who often consider their own interests before their employers. Some of these companies appear to have advanced large sums of money on the security of land which they can neither sell nor let, and which has been abandoned by the borrower. Financial trusts. The shares in these trusts were at one time much sought after as an investment. The ostensible business of a trust company is to purchase shares and stocks of other concerns at favorable opportunities, and to invest widely in foreign and other companies offering good dividends, so as to average a high rate of interest. They are divided into debenture stock, preferred stock, and deferred stock. The latter has its share of the profits after the others have been satisfied, and at present 3/4 of the companies now doing business have their deferred shares at a discount. The financial collapse in Argentine, some years since, very seriously affected most of these concerns, and it is doubtful, in view of the risky nature of the business, whether they will ever come into favor again. Insurance companies. Under the head of life, fire, and marine insurance, these companies, as a class, have been more steadily successful than others. Most of these concerns are making large profits, and their shares command a high premium, so high, indeed, that an investment at current prices yields but a moderate rate of interest. The risks undertaken by insurance offices are enormous in extent, but the law of average by which they are conducted is so accurate that, taken in the long run, and with sufficient business maintained, misfortune is almost impossible. In all cases, however, so little is called up of the nominal amount of their shares, that a very large liability attaches to them. Steamship companies. Judging from the prices of the shares in these companies, they have not been very successful as a whole, and it would appear that a government subsidy for mail or other service is almost necessary to make them profitable. Mines. Speculation in shares of mining companies has of late years been indulged in to an enormous extent, and large fortunes have been made and much money lost. As a rule, the prizes have been secured by those behind the scenes, and the public have not had the opportunity of participating until the price of shares had reached a figure which was almost prohibitory. As an investment, mining shares, even of the best, are not to be recommended. Minds are apt to get worked out when the source of income fails and there is an end to the concern. Moreover, hundreds of companies are promoted which have a specious appearance on the prospectus, and are puffed in every imaginable way, when they have not an ounce of ore or a yard of ground to call their own. Of course, there are genuine undertakings which answer well and yield large profits, but it is extremely difficult to discriminate between the good and the bad, and the best after all are but a speculation. Chapter 8. The Stock Exchange. The stock exchange is a market for the sale and purchase of all kinds of securities. The buildings, wherein business is transacted, occupy a triangular plot of ground near the Bank of England, and comprise the hall where the various markets are held, and other rooms and offices for the use of the numerous officials. There are 2,500 members, and the management is vested in a committee selected from their number. Admission to membership is open to any person not engaged in another business, and who is properly proposed and seconded, but very strict regulations and guarantees are enforced before entry, so as to exclude any one whose circumstances and character will not bear the strictest investigation. The hours of booziness are 11 to 4 o'clock on all days except Saturday, when they are until 2 o'clock. The members of the house are divided into jobbers and brokers, the former being dealers in stocks and shares. It is contrary to practice for brokers to deal with brokers, and all transactions are between brokers and jobbers. What are known as markets are groups of jobbers distributed about the house, each group having its own particular dealings, one in government stocks, another in English railways, a third in foreign securities, and so on. A broker having received an order from a customer to sell £1,000 Great Eastern Railway stock, would go to the English Railway Group and inquire of a jobber the price or quotation for Great Easterns, without disclosing whether he wants to buy or to sell. The jobber replies, 115 1/4 to 115 1/2, whereupon the broker says, I sell at 115 1/4. When the bargain is completed, without any memorandum or written contract, the verbal communication being alone in use, and the jobber is bound by it. It will be observed that the lower price, 115 1/4, is accepted by the broker on behalf of his customer, as a sale is always effected at the lowest quotation, and a purchase at the highest. Another broker presently goes to the jobber and asks the same question, receiving the same reply, 115 1/4 to 115 1/2. The broker says, I buy of you at 115 1/2, being the highest quotation. The difference of fives between the sale and the purchase is the jobber's profit. The broker charges his customer his own commission or brokerage on the transaction, which ranges from 2.60% on the government and colonial stocks up to 10% on railway stocks. This is the elementary stage of the business of the stock exchange, but the variety of the securities dealt in, under constantly changing circumstances, the number of transactions, and the amount of money changing hands, involve intricate accounts and arrangements, which need not be particularized here. Accounts are settled fortnightly, the precise dates being fixed some time before by the committee of the House. Many speculators, however, especially those who have bought stocks and shares with the expectation that they will speedily rise in price, do not find it convenient to pay the purchase money on the appointed settling day, so payment may, by arrangement, be carried over to the next settling day. For the accommodation a certain charge, which is called contango, is made, the amount varying with the value of money and the quality of the stock. Backwardation, on the other hand, is a commission paid in order to postpone the delivery of stocks or shares which a speculator contracts to sell, but which he never possessed. He is a speculator for the fall, hoping by the delay to be able to purchase the same stocks and shares at a less price than he bargained to sell them for, and so make a profit out of the transaction. Speculations for a rise are known on the stock exchange as bulls, and their object is by every manner of means to get the prices of the stocks they are dealing in pushed up as much as possible. Speculators for a fall are called bears, and they are equally anxious to send prices down. So sensitive is the stock market that prices are easily affected. The rumored prospect of an important dividend from a railway company will at once probably influence the price of its shares, whilst the report of a disastrous accident will have the contrary effect. A boom in the money market is a cheerful desire on the part of the speculative public to be purchasers at advancing prices, and this betokens good business for the brokers and jobbers. A boom in any particular stock is a buoyancy in prices caused by some favorable rumor, whether founded or unfounded, more often the latter, and set a-going in the interest of persons who desire to get rid of surplus stock. A boom in railway shares is often brought about by increased traffic receipts. A boom in mining shares is caused by one or two companies having produced more gold this month than last, and a boom in foreign stocks is due to the settlement of some political or other difficulty. A slump is just the reverse, being an unaccountable depression which sometimes fastens upon the speculative world and betrays distrust in everything. Unless this feeling is checked in time, it degenerates into panic when prices fall to a ruinously low figure. Each fortnightly settlement includes 3 days, the first being continuation or contango day, when all transactions of a speculative description are arranged to be carried over to the next settlement day. The second is the ticket day, when the names of purchasers and sellers are handed over. The third is payday, when all amounts or balances due for stocks bought or sold are paid or received. The great bulk of business being purely speculative, the first day is the busiest. After noon on that day, all new transactions entered into are for settlement at the next account day, unless otherwise specially arranged. Any sums of money may be invested in, or any particular amount of stock purchased of, the government funds through a broker or banker, and there is practically no limit to the quantity that may be held. In the books of the Bank of England an account is opened, and the name, address, and description of the investor carefully registered. A memorandum is given of the transaction, but it is of value only as such, not being in the nature of a certificate or receipt, and it is not required to be given up or produced in the event of a sale or transfer of the stock or any portion of it. Accounts may be opened in 1, 2, 3, or 4 names, but not more, and 4 different accounts may be opened at the same time in the same name or names, but they must be distinguished as accounts A, B, C, and D. In order to sell stock, the holder may attend at the Bank of England himself accompanied by his broker, and then and there have the transfer made and the money paid. But this would be unusual and held to imply mistrust, without perhaps occasion for it. The safest plan is for the holder to instruct his bankers to carry out the transaction, and give them a power of attorney to enable them to do so. A special form of power is provided by the Bank of England, the cost of which is 11s. The inscribed or registered stocks of most of the colonial governments are dealt with in the same way, as well as Indian stocks and the stocks of many of our larger towns. The account of an investor may be added to or diminished at any time without difficulty or delay. The stocks and shares of railway and other companies may be purchased through a broker or banker, and the holder passes them over to a buyer by a formal deed of transfer. The purchaser's name, address, and description are carefully registered in the books of the company, and he has then accepted all the responsibilities that may attach to the shares. For instance, the shares he has bought may be only partly paid up. The shares in railway companies are usually paid up in full, but it may so happen in an issue of new shares that they are paid up by periodical installments, in which case what has already been paid is known as scrip, and retains that name until developed into fully paid shares. A company formed of £20 shares may have called up only £5 on each, and with no intention of demanding more, yet the holder is liable for £15 on every share he holds, and before he invests his money he should be careful to ascertain the full extent of his liability. Some little time after the transfer of the stock or shares has been completed, a certificate will be issued by the company, giving full particulars of the holding, and this certificate must be carefully preserved, as it will be required to be given up before all or any portion of the property can be sold. The colonial, foreign, and other bonds payable to the bearer, which have been previously described, are purchasable through a broker or banker, and handed over without any transfer or other formality. Bonds of this description should be left in the safe custody of a banker, who would cut off and collect the interest coupons attached, as they became due. As an example of the hazard incurred by keeping securities of this kind in one's own house, The writer remembers a case where a gentleman was examining in a room of his house, by the light of a candle, some bonds which he afterwards locked up in an iron safe. It was dark outside and the blind was drawn up, so that any one from the garden could see all that was going on in the room. Next morning the empty safe was found in the grounds and the contents had been carried off. All the particulars of the bonds were at once telegraphed to the Stock Exchange, the London banks, and the police authorities. Some months afterwards the bonds turned up in the hands of a banker in London, who had received them from an agent abroad. An action was brought by the original owner for their recovery, but it was of no avail, as the securities had come into the hands of the banker in the course of regular business, and so the loser could get no redress and, moreover, had to pay a large amount in costs. The broker, who is a member of the Stock Exchange, from the precautions taken on his admission, should be a responsible person, whom it would be safe to entrust with any business which might be put into his hands. His dealings, however, are chiefly on behalf of the bankers and outside brokers, acting for themselves and the public. There are numerous outside brokers, that is, brokers who are not members of the Stock Exchange, in London and all over the country. In every profession there are some doubtful members, and stockbroking has its fair share, but with ordinary vigilance on the part of their customers, well-established brokers will carry out their calm missions faithfully and reasonably. As to the advice, however, a broker may have to offer in the way of investments, it must be remembered that he is no more than mortal, and would at times be prone to submit such securities as he himself, on behalf of a client, would most desire to dispose of. In this way, too, the country broker is liable to be pressed by his London agent to get rid of particular stocks or shares which hang heavy on hand. However, bearing this well in mind, an investor may gain much useful information from his broker, although for sound advice his banker is to be preferred. Members of the Stock Exchange are not allowed to advertise themselves or their firms, but most of the daily newspapers in London have an agent in the house, either a jobber or broker, who furnishes to his principal for publication a daily report of the state of the markets and the current prices of the day, which in that way reach the eye of the public. It may be assumed that in the better class of journals the information thus afforded is perfectly trustworthy, although some years since one of the leading newspapers was imposed upon by its agent, who took advantage of his position to manipulate certain matters for his own ends. Less scrupulous publications, however, are freely made use of to influence the public, to cry up or prejudice the markets and particular concerns. The provincial broker, as a rule, limits his advertisement to the name and address of his firm, with a quotation of the prices of a few of the stocks mostly dealt in, and monthly, or quarterly, sends an extended list to his customers. The outside broker who advertises himself freely in the newspapers, as well as by pamphlets and circulars, is to be avoided. He will invite you to participate in his system, always an infallible one, of operating. He will suggest options put and call, the cover system, and other devices by which the inexperienced may be mystified and beguiled into losing their money. However astute a man may consider himself, experience proves that, with amateurs, this kind of gambling is sure to result in loss. An ingenious mode of practicing on the credulity of the public may be noticed in some financial publications. An editorial notice or subsidized paragraph will be inserted in the paper, extolling the merits and predicting the certain success of some concern which it is desired to bolster up or to foist upon the public. This is done in such a way that the reader is expected to believe that it is the genuine expression of a truthful opinion by the editor, who has obtained his information from unimpeachable sources. Of course, this peculiar kind of advertisement has to be paid for, but it has its advantages to the advertiser, for it can, for a consideration, be quoted by the country papers as unbiased news, and attention called to it in a money article or leaderette. The pamphlets issued by the advertising outside broker are sometimes amusingly artless in the endeavor to sell shares and attract custom. On the first page will be found some paragraphs setting forth the merits and prospects of certain named companies, and advising the reader to buy shares in them without a day's delay, as a considerable and speedy rise in value is assured. One may be permitted to wonder why the broker and all his friends do not rush in and secure every share that is to be had. At the end of the paper the reason will be discovered. In every one of the concerns referred to, shares are offered for sale, which cannot be got rid of in the regular market. It must be inferred that some credulous persons are taken in by this transparent artifice, or it would not be so constantly practiced. The object of these publicitans is chiefly to puff up doubtful securities, in the hope that some fatuous speculator may be tempted to buy. It is delightful when two of these gentry fall out and expose each other's knavery. The reader is assured that Codlin's his friend, not Short. The latter is denounced as a fraud and retaliates, but no action for libel is brought, because both know that on either side the imputation is justifiable. It may excite surprise in some who are favored with circulars and prospectuses which are, through the post office, sown broadcast over the whole country, how the name and address of a comparatively obscure individual should be known. Prospectus and circular distributing is a business conducted on a regular system. When it is desired to invite subscriptions to float some new company or to bolster up some concern, the share lists of the same sort of companies already in existence are drawn upon for names and addresses, and court directories also furnish a wide field for operations. At the present time, the rage appears to have set in for forming limited liability companies out of private industrial concerns or trading firms. Most of these companies, we are told by an authority, are brought out under the same auspices. That is, they are started and floated by a skilled personage known as a promoter. The stereotyped prospectus must now be familiar to most people, and the public respond freely to the invitation to subscribe for shares, without consideration or inquiry. The prospectus is usually replete with statistics, showing the success which has attended the business whilst in private hands, and the enormous profits made, and one is apt to wonder why they did not keep it to themselves, instead of inviting the public to share in the gains. But there are good companies and bad companies, and it is to be feared that the latter largely preponderate. A good company may have a genuine reason for its existence, such as the desire of a last surviving partner to retire from active life, or the growth of the business to such an extent that more capital is required than could be obtained from a private person, or upon some other equally valid ground. A bad company is often the makeshift to save a decaying firm from insolvency, or to dispose of a business at a price quite out of proportion to its real value. The prospectus affords no opportunity of discriminating what is genuine and likely to succeed from what is false and sure to fail. If, as it has been said, 80% of companies floated sooner or later go to the wall, then, indeed, inquiry and much circumspection are needed before entering upon a speculation of the kind. It must be said, however, that many companies formed from trading concerns have become well established and profitable, and if permanency could be relied upon, they furnish a field for lucrative investments. Those adventures which are unduly pressed upon the notice of the public should be regarded with suspicion. If a thing is really good in itself, it will not require much persuasion to commend itself, and if bad, no purchased laudation will make it better. A subtle mode of advertising is just now coming into vogue, which, though expensive, will for a time be successful. There need be no reflection on the companies which adopt it, though calculated to beguile the innocent and confiding investor. A leaf or two introduced in some of our illustrated papers, in no wise differing in the printing from the remainder of the publication, and appearing as though it formed part of the regular pabulum offered to the public. This leaf or leaves contain well-executed pictures of the works and machinery and other interesting objects connected with the industry of a company to which it is desired to call attention, and a descriptive account is given of its magnitude and success. To the casual reader all this would appear to be a matter of public interest, offered to the public as part of the regular business of the paper, but it is only an ingenious form of advertisement, and has to be paid for as such, but that is of no consequence if the effect is produced, of a rise in the price of the shares. There are some companies whose shares are quoted at such enormous premiums, and which pay such high dividends, that the investor is sorely tempted to embark in similar undertakings, apparently, that are brought before the public. But these prosperous concerns are in most cases first taken up by a syndicate, that is, a certain limited number of persons behind the scenes, who finance and float the company, and when success has been attained, the public are granted the privilege of purchase ing shares, but at such a price as the syndicate chooses to put upon them, and not seldom, that is the highest they ever attain. This is particularly the case with mining companies, the successful ones having certainly only benefited the few. This syndicate system has given rise to a bogus imitation, which, however, appears to have met with but limited success. Circulars and lithographed writing marked private and confidential, and implying a friendly interest in those addressed, are sent to persons whose names are obtained in the manner already indicated. An invitation is given them to join a syndicate about to be formed to float a certain company, the profits arising from the operation being certain and enormous. Again, if it be such an excellent and certain venture, why offer a share to an entire stranger? These circulars are very speciously worded, and there is an air of candor about them likely to allure. Anyone foolish enough to subscribe would probably, after an interval, be informed that owing to unforeseen circumstances the adventure had turned out a failure, and that all the money had gone in expenses. Successful gold mines have yielded large fortunes to their proprietors, but it must be remembered that mines have but a limited existence, and once they are worked out the money invested in them is lost, for when they cease to yield or there is nothing more to be obtained from them. Promiscuous dealing in mine shares is nothing more or less than gambling, or taking part in a lottery in which the blanks are overwhelming and the prizes next to nothing. If an enterprise has in it any degree of soundness or promise, there are plenty of the knowing ones ready to step in and take all the advantages to be gained. It is the desperate ventures and unscrupulous swindles that the public are mostly pressed to support, only to lose their money. It is to be hoped that the dupes are at length awake to the pitfalls dug for them by the mining company promoter and speculator, whose seductive paragraphs are everywhere in evidence in the advertising sheets of the day. A typical example, and not a fictitious one, of hundreds of knavish concerns foisted on the public may be quoted. A certain company, of which no prospectus has been issued, nor of which anything is publicly known, appears in the mining lists. One day, a paragraph in a financial paper reports that the agent for the mines, on the spot, has cabled that the promise of success exceeds all expectations, that samples of ore, yielding 3 ounces to the ton, have been found, and that the necessary machinery must be sent out at once. This is followed up by an editorial leaderette, of course, paid for, in which the writer expresses surprise that the shares of so promising an enterprise should be at so low a price, and predicting a rapid advance when the work is further developed. These notices affect their purpose to the extent of rice ing the quotations of the shares a few shillings, but this is not enough for the promoter. A circular is next issued, in the usual way, to the effect that the directors have been fortunate enough to secure additional property near their own, which furnishes wood and water, so essential to the proper development of the mine, and including, moreover, alluvial pits abounding in gold. An elaborate lithographed sketch of the property, with mines at work and a steam engine, accompanies the circular, and the whole presents an appearance of real business. The next move is the statutory meeting of the shareholders, which, however, is very sparsely attended, as the victims are chiefly people residing in the country, who do not care to incur the expense of a journey to London. The man who presides at the meet an outside broker, begins a speech by apologizing for the absence of the chairman of the company, of whom the shareholders hear for the first time, and then goes on to describe with tedious detail the technical working of the mine, the stopes and veins, and bunches of gold that there are, and the stamps, machinery, and that there are to be. He describes what has been done in the alluvial pits, and the prospect of wealth to be drawn therefrom as beyond the dreams of avarice, and winds up with warm congratulation of the proprietors on the valuable property they possess. Whether he has overdone his part or something prejudicial to the company leaks out, the shares which had changed hands at 10s gradually drop to 5s. Then a circular goes the round in which some member of the ring of knaves invites the public to join a syndicate to buy up 5,000 of these shares which he has, through peculiar circumstances, been able to secure the refusal of at 4s a share. A special meeting of the shareholders is next called, when it is announced that more capital is required, and that it will be necessary to pay up the 1 shilling per share which still remains outstanding. A last desperate effort to get rid of the shares at any price is then resorted to before the call of 1 shilling per share becomes payable, and some thousands are offered at 1 shilling and 6pence each. After the time has expired for paying the call, a last circular is issued, intimating briefly that the eminent engineer, who has originally given such a glowing account of the mine, now reports that there is no present indication of gold on the property, but that possibly some might be found if they dug deep enough. The name of the company has disappeared from the mining share list, and it will be heard of no more. It is doubtful if there ever was any property, or engineer, or board of directors, or, in fact, anything more than the outside broker and his confederates. Of the bona fide speculative undertakings in South Africa and Australia, the exploration and finance companies, or some few of them, have made the largest profits. Their system, broadly speaking, is to acquire certain tracts of land in a gold-bearing district, and then let small portions on lease to different subsidiary companies, which have been floated to develop gold, or whatever else these portions may contain. The price paid to the parent company is made up of, perhaps, one half in cash and the other in the shares of the new concern. An immediate profit accrues from the payment in cash, and there is a wide field for further gains if the operations of the subsidiary companies are successful. But in this, as in all speculative enterprises, the prizes have been few and the blanks many. Chapter 9. Life Insurance. Ladies do not take advantage of the system of life insurance to the extent one would expect, seeing the benefits it is capable of conferring upon themselves and their belongings, and as their indifference is no doubt, in many cases, owing to a want of knowledge of the subject, a chapter thereon may be useful. Life insurance is an admirable system, devised, in all its ramifications, to provide against loss or damage through the various contingencies to which human nature is subject. A simple life insurance is that by which a person may leave behind him a sum of money for the benefit of those who, during his life, have been dependent upon him. For example, a husband, whose income is entirely derived from his own exertions, desires to make some provision for his wife and children in the event of his dying before them. At the age of 30 he may, by paying £25 a year to an insurance office, secure at his death, whenever it may happen, £1,000 for the benefit of his wife or children, or as he may direct by his will. In a way, insurance is a kind of savings bank, but imposes an obligation on the part of the depositor to save a certain sum every year. In the case of the bank, the savings are optional, and cease at death, whereas by insurance, the return of a large sum is the result of the death of the compulsory depositor. If a person put by £25 every year and invested that sum in the government funds at 2.5%, or deposited the same sum annually in a bank, at the same rate of interest, it would take him 28 years to accumulate £1,000 if he lived so long, whereas by an insurance on his life for the same amount, if he died a week after the first payment of £25 had been made, the £1,000 insured would be paid to his representatives. It might be said that if the person lived longer than the term of 28 years and went on saving the £25 every year, he would in the end accumulate more than £1,000. This, however, is met by insuring in such manner that the insurance carries profits, that is, additions made by the gains of the office from time to time. If insurance be made in this manner, for which a slightly higher rate of premium is paid, it will be found that, however long a person might live, more would accrue at death by insurance than by saving. There are in active existence so many insurance companies of good repute and undoubted stability that no difficulty need be experienced in making a judicious selection. Of course, the intelligent insurer would prefer an office whose system would best suit his own requirements. There are two kinds of insurance companies, one known as a mutual office, in which all the profits which may be earned are periodically added to the amount insured, the other in the form of a joint stock company, in which a small proportion of the profits are distributed amongst the shareholders and the remainder added to the insurances. The mutual office dividing the whole of its profits amongst the insured would appear to be the more advantageous of the two, and undoubtedly it is, all other things being equal, but insurances may be effected which do not share in the profits, at lower rate of premium, and in that case one system is as good as the other. The intending insurer would do well to obtain the prospectuses of several offices, which he can easily do by writing for them direct to the head office or by applying to the several agents of the companies who abound in all towns, and carefully compare one with another. It will be found, perhaps, that one office charges a less annual premium for an insurance than another, but this may be compensated for by the latter declaring larger profits, or giving advantages in other ways. For instance, a certain mutual office charges for an insurance of £1,000 on the death of a person beginning to insure at the age of 30, a premium of £26.16 8d per annum, whereas a certain joint stock company's demand is only £24.14 3d. But the advantages offered by the former in the shape of larger bonuses, though deferred, are greater, while the benefit of a less annual payment is of course immediate. Where the insurance is effected at the same age and for the same amount, but with no other benefit or profit prospectively than the bare amount, the premium in the former case is £21.4 2d, and in the latter £21.15 10d. There are good offices, however, where the premium charged is less than this. There is at least one office which insures upon what is called the half-credit system. One half the usual premium is paid for a certain term of years, and thereafter the full premium is charged. This may be useful in a case where a person wishes to insure while young and the premiums are low, and at the same time is desirous of deferring the full payment until his income is so improved that he can better afford it. This system is carried still further by an insurer only paying half the premium during his lifetime, the other half being accumulated until his death, and then, with interest added, deduct from the amount payable in respect of the insurance policy. Having chosen the insurance office or company which best suits his purpose, the proposer applies to its nearest agent and makes known his desire to insure his life. A form containing printed queries somewhat like the following, though offices differ somewhat in details, will be placed before him and the blank spaces filled in either by the agent or himself. Proposal for life assurance, dash. Full name, underscore 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 profession or occupation underscore 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 1. Life proposed to be assured. Business address underscore 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 residence underscore 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 married or single underscore 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 2. Age next birthday underscore 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 years. Born at underscore 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 on the underscore 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 day of underscore 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 in the year 18 underscore 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 evidence to be produced. 3. Has he resided out of Europe? If so, where and for what period? 4. Is he, and has he always been, of sober and temperate habits? 5. Has he had any serious illness or disease tending to shorten life? 6. Has any near relative died of any hereditary disease? 7. 1. Has a proposal to effect an assurance on his life ever been declined? Underscore 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 2. Or accepted at more than the ordinary rate. Underscore 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 3. If so, on how many occasions, and when, and by what office or offices? 8. Is there any other circumstance which ought to be communicated in order to enable the company to judge fairly of the risk? If the name underscore 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 person has 9. 1. Who is his usual medical attendant? Residence underscore 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 never has known him underscore 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 years required. 2. When was he last in professional attend? Date of attendance underscore 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 medical ailment underscore 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 attendance, the fact. First friend. Second friend. Should be, if necessary, see marginal note to, stated, and 10, mention an intimate friend, who is not in question. Reference tearist in this assurance, to be referred. Name underscore 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 given to for information as to health and habits. Residence underscore 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 has known him underscore 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 years. Has known him underscore 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 years. If the name underscore 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 proposal B11 name and c of the person in whose favor profession or occupation underscore 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 upon the assurance is to be effected. Business address underscore 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 person's own residence underscore 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 life these inquiries 12 is the pecuniary interest in the life to be need not be assured which is the object of this answered assurance to the full amount thereof dash sum to be assured pound underscore 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 with or without profits. Underscore 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 is the policy to be for life? Underscore 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 are the premiums to be payable yearly? Underscore 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 underscore. I do hereby declare that the above statements are true, and that this proposal and declaration shall be the basis of the contract for effecting the above mentioned assurance, which assurance is also conditional on the accuracy, in all respects, of the statement for the medial officer, made, or to be made by the person whose life is proposed for assurance. Date underscore 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 signature of the person in whose favor the assert underscore 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 witness underscore 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 ants is to be effected. Address and occupation. Underscore 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 underscore. The proposer has now to undergo one other formality, disagreeable no doubt, but absolutely necessary, and that is the medical examination. This is done by the medical officer of the company, who has to certify that the proposer is free from any defect likely to shorten his natural life, and that he is sound in wind and limb. Deficiency in the number of the latter is, however, not considered unsoundness, as a person with one arm, or one leg, or one eye may be just as good a life, and therefore equally eligible for insurance with him who is perfect. All the enquiries in the form are made by the office, and the expenses, including the doctor's fee, paid by the company. If the proposal is accepted, the proposer is informed of the fact and then pays his first premium in advance. It may be a year's, or half a year's, or a quarter year's, at his own option, and he then becomes, subject to the rules of the particular company, the insured. A few days subsequently, a life policy will be sent to the insured. This is a document setting forth, in full, the terms of the agreement between the company and the insured, and must be carefully kept, in such wise that it may readily be discovered by the person for whose benefit it is ultimately intended. The writer once found amongst some old papers a life policy in the name of a man who had been dead for many years. On inquiry at the office, it was found that the amount which was payable at his death had, by some neglect, never been claimed. The company of course at once paid the money, and a needy sister was very much benefited. 30 days grace are usually allowed for subsequent payments of premium. It is customary for insurance offices to forward to each policy holder a reminder, from 1 to 4 weeks before the periodical payments for premium become due, but the absence of any such notice will not be accepted as an excuse for non-payment, and if the premium be not paid before the 30 days grace allowed have expired, the policy becomes void. It may, however, be revived upon paying a fine and producing a medical certificate of health. Should the proposal be declined, the fact will be notified to the proposer, but he will not be informed of the reason. Proposals are rejected because of something wrong being discovered by the medical examiner, or because of intemperate habits, or that the history of his near relations in regard to health and longevity is unfavorable. Anything, in short, that indicated that the proposer will not, in all probability, live as long as a healthy man is expected to live is enough reason for declining to insure his life. Insurances may be effected for a limited period, say for 1, 3, or 5 years, at about 1/2 the premium charged for the whole term of life. If the insured dies within the period, the amount of the policy is paid, but the insurance ends with the periods of time agreed upon. This class of insurance is useful in many ways. For example, a person with a certain income for life is desirous of borrowing £500, to be repaid by annual installments. There would be no difficulty in finding a lender, provided he could be sure of repayment, and this could be secured in this manner. The borrower would assign to the lender £100 a year of income for 5 years for the gradual discharge of the loan. The borrower's life would also be insured for 5 years and the policy assigned to the lender. If the borrower lived for 5 years, the loan would be paid out of the income. In the event of his death, it would be paid by means of the insurance money. Another example: a child aged 17 is entitled to a fortune, large or small, at the age of 21, but meanwhile is wholly dependent on its mother, who has only an annuity for her life. Should the mother die before the child becomes of age, the latter would be left without the means of subsistence. In such a case, the prudent mother would insure her own life for the 4 years which must elapse before the child could come into the fortune, for such a sum as would keep it from want, so that in case the mother died, the insurance money would provide the means of living. The premium charged on this class of insurance is moderate, about £2 SIXS, for a person aged 50, and the outlay by the mother could be subsequently repaid when the child was in a position to do so. There are other special modes of insurance to prevent loss or damage in cases of remote risk. Indeed, almost any chance of loss through the possibility of something improbable occurring may be guarded against by insurance. For instance, a lady aged 45 has been married for 20 years and has had no children. If she has a son, her property will descend to him. If she dies childless, it passes to a nephew. The chance of the lady having a son is extremely remote, but still there is a possibility, and it is against loss by this possibility happening that the nephew takes out a policy of insurance for any reasonable amount, the premium charged being surprisingly small and payable in one sum down. Bonuses. It has been mentioned in a previous page that insurance has the advantage over the savings bank, no matter how long a person may live, and this is brought about by the operation of bonuses, so called. These are the whole profits in the case of a mutual company, and the larger proportion of the profits in the case of a joint stock company, which are distributed amongst the policy holders. At the end of every 5 years, in some cases 7, a valuation is made of all the property of the company, and on the other hand is ascertained what the company is liable for, present and prospective. The difference between the two constitutes the surplus or profits, assuming of course that the assets preponderate. This seems at first sight to be a very simple process, but in reality the most intricate calculations are necessary to arrive at mathematical accuracy, but this needs no further notice here. The bonus being declared, it may be dealt with in various ways. 1. It may be added to the amount insured, and so payable at death. 2. It may be commuted for an immediate payment in cash. In this case the amount will, of course, be less than in number 1. 3. It may be applied in a permanent reduction of the future annual premiums, or a proportionately larger reduction of these for the next 5 or 7 years, and in other ways. Most offices granting every reasonable facility for applying profits in any way the insured may consider desirable. Endowment insurance. This is a class of insurance by which an insurer may receive the amount of a policy himself during his life, at an age to be fixed at the time the insurance is effected. Should he die before reaching the age specified, the money is payable to his representatives. It may also be so arranged that instead of receiving the money at a certain age, he may be paid a fixed sum annually for the rest of his life thereafter. For example, a person at the age of 30 may insure £1,000 to be paid to him on attaining the age of 60. The annual premiums for insurances of this kind vary with different offices, but they can be effected at the age named, at about £28 for the £1,000. If the person died before attaining the specified age, the money would be paid to his representatives. If he survived, he could either receive the £1,000 or be granted an annuity for the remainder of his life of £92 a year. In the case of females, the annuity would be £83 only, as they are supposed to live longer than males. Non-forfeitable policies. This plan provides for the continuance of insurance upon the life of a policyholder should the insured from any cause be unable to keep up his premiums. The principle of this scheme ensures that, in consideration of the premiums already paid, a policy for a certain amount, less of course than that named in the original policy, which would be cancelled, would be granted freed from all future payments in respect of premiums, and the insurance money of the new policy would be payable at death. For example, a person insures his life for £1,000 at the age of 30, the annual premium on which would be £25 a year. At the age of 40 he finds himself unable any longer to pay the annual premium, but to avoid the loss of the £250 which he has paid during the 10 years, he will surrender the old policy for £1,000 and will be granted a new one, say for half the amount, payable at death, and he will not be called upon to pay any further premiums. Settlement policies. This class of policy is issued under the Married Women's Property Act, 1882, whereby a trust can be created for the benefit of a wife or children of an insured person, the trustee being the insurance company. The advantage of this is that such a policy does not constitute a part of the husband's estate or become subject to his debts, either whilst living or at his death, so that in the latter event the money is paid to the widow or children direct for their own use. A policy of this kind, if necessity should arise, could also be exchanged for a non-forfeitable policy in the manner before pointed out. Endowments for children. A parent, by paying a premium of about £5 annually, can secure to a child aged 6 a sum of £100 on its attaining the age of 21. Should the child die before reaching that age, the money paid in premiums is not lost, for it is all returned to the parent without deduction. By this means a marriage portion or outfit for a girl, or a start in business for a boy can be provided to any amount that may be desired. Insurance on joint lives is another mode of insurance, very useful in particular cases. For example, a mother aged 50 has an income, for her life and no longer, of £300 a year, and she has a daughter aged 20, who has no means of her own, present or prospective, being entirely dependent on her mother. The joint lives are insured for, say, £2,000, which would cost in premium £100 a year, the insurance money to be paid at the death of the first of the two. If the daughter died first, the mother would get back, by the insurance money, possibly more than she had paid in premiums. If the mother died first, say at the age of 70, by that time the daughter would have attained the age of 40, and the £2,000 would be paid to her. With the money she might, if she so pleased, buy an annuity for life of £110 a year. Insurance on the longest of two lives, payable on the death of the survivor, is useful in cases where land or house property is held on lease, so that there may be no pecuniary loss when the lease expires. The rate of premium is in this case naturally less than where the insurance is to be paid on the earlier of the two deaths. Surrenders. If from any cause it is desired to give up a policy and discontinue paying any more premiums, the offices will pay to the insured what is called the surrender value of the policy, at the same time cancelling it, and all its conditions. This surrender value may be roughly calculated at about 40% of the premiums paid, in a case where bonuses have been added to a policy, and about 33% of the premiums paid in a case where the bonuses have not been so applied. For example, a person has paid £25 a year in premiums for 10 years, in all £250, on a policy for £1,000, to which has been added £60 in the shape of bonuses. The surrender value in such a case would be £100. But if the insured had taken his bonuses in cash, or his policy did not carry profits, then the surrender value would be £82.10. Only, any insurance office will lend the insured, on the security of the policy, an amount of money not exceeding the surrender value, and the rate of interest is usually moderate. In this case, there would be no necessity to abandon the policy, which would be kept alive and increased by added bonuses as before. Fire insurance. This is a distinct branch of insurance business, the object being to compensate a person in case of pecuniary loss through the accidental burning of his property. By paying annually a comparatively small amount in the shape of premium, a person may ensure that in case of the destruction by fire of such of his goods as may be specified in a fire policy, issued by the insurance company, he will be recouped their value. Nearly all the fire insurance offices are agreed in charging a certain rate of premium, which is called the tariff rate. For dwelling houses built of brick or stone with slate or tile roof, the rate is only £1.60 for every £100. For more hazardous buildings such as thatched houses, warehouses, inns, shops, and the rates are higher, according to the nature of the risk. Household furniture and the other contents of a brick or stone house can be insured at various rates, or they may be included in one insurance with the house, when the rate would be 2% for the whole. It should be remembered that there is a limit, usually of 5%, of the whole sum so insured, placed on any one work of art which may be destroyed. For instance, a picture valued at £200 may be burnt in a house which, with the contents, is insured for £2,000. If the picture were alone destroyed, the office would only compensate to the extent of £100, being 5%, on the £2,000, the total amount of the insurance. Any particular picture or work of art may, however, be specially insured by itself. Insurances should never be made for a greater sum than the value of the property insured, as it would be paying more premium for no purpose. The offices take good care that they pay no more than the actual value of the property destroyed, which they have the means of ascertaining with some degree of accuracy. It has been found necessary to subject the insurance of farming stock to special conditions. A farmer having stock of the value, say, of £1,000, might reason in this way: my ricks, implements, crops, and are situated widely apart, and it is difficult to imagine that all could be consumed in one and the same fire. Therefore, I will insure the whole stock for £500 only, then I shall have to pay only half the amount in the premium I should be liable for in case I insured to the full value. The offices are, however, quite alive to this kind of reasoning, and frustrate the intention by inserting what is called the average clause in the policy, the effect of which is that in the event of a claim being made for loss by fire, only 1/2 of the value would be made because only 1/2 of the value of the stock was insured. Livestock, however, may be separately insured without the average clause, and animals killed by lightning are paid for if insured against loss by fire. There are other offices which insure against loss by special contingencies, such as damage to glass houses, and cattle, and garden produce, by hailstorms, destruction of boilers by explosion of plate glass, and from accident or disease affecting cattle. There are companies, too, which insure against accidents sustained by rail, road, or water, guaranteeing a specified sum in case of death, and compensation in case of injury. Also societies which take the place of sureties and guarantee and insure against loss or default by anyone in his employ, and companies which undertake to make good any loss arising from burglary or larceny. In all cases, of course, the liability of the office is limited to a certain declared amount. Chapter 10. Building Societies. The main object of a building society is to aid a man to become proprietor of his own dwelling. This can be accomplished by means of the society in two different ways: one, by depositing with the society periodical money savings until, with the interest allowed, enough has been accumulated to buy a house; two, by borrowing from the society a sufficient sum to purchase a house and repaying the loan, with interest, by installments spread over a term of years. A person desiring to become a depositor must qualify for membership of the society by paying an entrance fee of, say, 2s. He then takes up a share, and by paying periodical installments according to the tables, he becomes entitled at the end of the appointed time to receive £100. The same applies proportionately to a half share of £50 or to a quarter share of £25. For example, as regards the whole share, a person paying 13s a month regularly to the society is entitled, at the end of 10 years, to be repaid a lump sum of £100, and any bonus added thereto which the profits of the society may afford. If the term be 15 years, then, to secure £100, he will have to pay only 7d every month, and if 21 years, then a monthly payment of 4s. The terms vary in different societies, but those quoted have been adopted by an existing institution of repute. If the term of 10 years is selected, the depositor will have saved and paid to the society, with added interest, £78 in all. If the term of 15 years is chosen, he will have paid £68.5 in all, and if 21 years be adopted, £57.15. In either case, at the end of the term he has selected, the depositor will be paid back £100. Thus, anyone taking a share for £100 and keeping up the installments for 21 years will in the end have paid only £57.15 for it, the difference being met by the interest paid by borrowers from the society. The following table shows particulars of other terms and the monthly subscription payable. Term, monthly sub, of, scription for a, years, £100 share, years, £100 share, pound s, d, 3, 2 12 10, 13, 091, 4, 118 8, 14, 084, 5, 110 2, 15, 077, 6, 146, 16, 0611, 7, 106, 17, 064, 8, 017 6, 18, 0510, 9, 015 2, 19, 054, 10, 013 0, 20, 050, 11, 011 8, 21, 047, 12, 010 6. After the first year, a depositor may, if desirous, withdraw, on giving 1 month's notice, the full amount he has paid, with interest, to the date when the subscription ceases. This prevents the possibility of any loss arising to a depositor in the event of his being unable to keep up his installments, or desiring from any cause to withdraw from the society. It may, however, in case of a loss of confidence, operate seriously against the society, by the sudden withdrawal of deposits. The following table shows the amount that could be claimed, in respect of the monthly subscriptions paid, at the end of the several years of membership. Showing the amount withdrawable at the end of each year for the respective monthly subscriptions stated in the above table. At the £S, D, end of 2/12/10, 118/8, 110/2, 146, 106, 17ths, 6d, 15ths, 2d, 13ths, 11ths, 8d, 10ths, 6d, year of, per, mem, month, bership, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, pound SD, 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 first 31/14/0, 23/40, 18/20, 14, 14/0, 12/60, 10/10/0, 920, 716 0, 700, 660, 2nd, 6419 0, 4711 0, 3720, 328, 2542, 2110 6, 1813 1, 1519 9, 1470, 1218 3, 3rd, 100 00, 7320, 5712, 46610, 3815 6, 3320, 2813 9, 2411 9, 2214, 1917 2, 4th, 100 00, 7802, 6372, 5302, 4551, 3945, 33124, 335, 2730, 5th, 100 00, 8146, 6719 2, 5804, 558, 43111, 3813 7, 3416 2, 6th, 100 00, 8313 2, 7184, 6117 11, 5311, 4712 3, 4217 0, 7th, 100 00, 8599, 74110, 6310 1, 5619 10, 51510, 8th, 100 00, 8617 11, 7497, 6616 10, 63 1, 9th, 100 00, 8601, 7738, 6993, 10th, 100 00, 88010, 7949, 11th, 100 00, 89911, 12th, 100 00, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st. At the end of 9s, 1D, 8s, 4D, 7s, 7D, SIXS, 11D, SIXS, 4D, 5s, 10D, 5s, 4D, 5s, 4s, 7D, year of, MEM, month, Bishop, 13 years, 14 years, 15 years, 16 years, 17 years, 18 years, 19 years, 20 years, 21 years, pound S, D, 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 first, 590, 500, 4110, 430, 316 310, 340, 300, 215 2nd, 1135, 1050, 965, 8102, 71510, 735, 6113, 630, 5129, 3rd, 1738, 1515 1468, 1315, 1119 1105, 1019, 991, 8135, 4th, 2399, 2111 1911 10, 1717 5, 1677, 1515, 1315 10, 1218 7, 1117 1, 5th, 32 3, 27 12 6, 25 23, 22 18 3, 2019 11, 1965, 17 13 8, 16 11 6, 15 3 11, 6th, 37 15, 34 03, 30 18 3, 28 40, 25 16 11, 23 15 8, 21 15 4, 28 1, 18 14 1, 7th, 45 42, 40 14 2, 37 00, 33 15 3, 30 18 9, 28 9 3, 26 11, 24 8 6, 22 7 10, 8th, 53 18 9, 49 8 3, 4418 401910 3658 3378 3011 281211 2652 9th 6224 56178 511310 4738 4335 391410 3558 3427 365 10th 70135 64146 58165 53138 4927 4545 4175 38168 34119 11th 79131 72194 6663 60103 5579 50198 461210 43157 415 12th 8919 81124 7435 67138 61 191 5705 5235 48195 44165 13th 100 90168 8285 7542 68170 6375 57197 54110 49163 14th 100 9119 8325 76110 7008 6416 6000 5511 15th 100 9185 831311 770 797 65188 60111 16th 100 9185 8478 7740 7235 6668 17th 100 92110 8453 78145 7280 18th 100 91 136 85 1111 78155 19th 100 92 164 8592 20th 100 9298 21st 100 For example, the depositor of 13ths a month for a 10 years term, if he desired to withdraw his savings at the end of 6 years, would be entitled to £53 once. 1d. The depositor of 7s 7d. A month for 15 years could claim, at the end of the 9th year, £51 13ths. 10d. And the depositor of 4s 7d. A month for 21 years could get back £44 16ths. 5d. At the expiration of the 12th year. In each case, the earnings of the depositor would have been increased by the interest added. Borrowers. A member desiring to effect an immediate purchase of a house or property may borrow the money required by depositing the title deeds with the society as security, and repaying the loan by installments, monthly or quarterly. Or if he elect to build a house himself, he deposits the deeds of the land with the society, and takes up a loan by installments as the work proceeds. In this case, an architect or surveyor would have to give a certificate from time to time to the effect that so much money could be advanced upon the work actually done, and the repayment of the loan would only begin when the house was finished. The following table shows the repayments required, including interest for each £100 advanced. Term of years. Monthly. Quarterly. £S, D, £S, D, 1, 8140, 2646, 2, 4110, 1311 43, 330, 9911, 4, 289, 770, 5, 203, 614, 6, 1147, 543, 7, 1106, 4120, 8, 176, 4211, 9, 152, 3, 1511, 10, 135, 3107, 11, 1111, 361, 12, 108, 324, 13, 0198, 219.4, 14, 018.9, 216.6, 15, 018.0, 214.3, 16, 017.4, 212.3, 17, 016.9, 210.6, 18, 016.2, 289, 19, 015.8, 2, 73, 20, 015.3, 260, 21, 014.11, 250. And in like proportion for larger or smaller loans. In many societies it is a common practice to ballot amongst the members for the right to receive an advance, sometimes without carrying interest, which right may be transferred, for a consideration, to some other member. By this table it will be seen that a person borrowing £100 for 10 years would have to repay the amount by monthly installments of £1 3s. 5d, or by quarterly installments of £3 10s. 7d, and if borrowing for a term of 21 years, then by monthly installments of 14s. 11d, or quarterly of £2 5s. Now, if we refer to the depositor's table of rates, we shall find that he has, for a 10 years term, paid to the society £78 and received back £100, thus receiving from the society £22, the difference, for the use of the money, plus the interest added. On the other hand, a borrower of £100 for the same term pays back, beyond the capital sum of £100, as much as £40 2s in interest. Thus there is a difference of £18 2s between the interest received by the depositor and that paid by the borrower. This constitutes the gross gain of the society on these transactions, but out of it has to be paid the expenses of the office, salaries of officials, and a reserve provided for bad debts, and c. The social and moral utility of societies established for the direct purpose of aiding a man to become proprietor of his dwelling house is obvious, and the above calculations seem to show that a society conducted on the plan represented would earn an ample margin of profit for all contingencies. Doubtless the greater number of the existing building societies, including the one whose figures have been quoted, are conducted in a safe and legitimate manner, but there have been, and may still be, exceptions. As an inducement to join a building society, people are told that they have to pay, on the installment system, the same as though they paid the rent of a house, and in a few years will become the owner. A man who has paid for 3 or 4 years only what he would have paid for rent, would have very little hesitation in throwing up his contract with the society, if the locality became objectionable to him, or the inevitable repairs of a cheap house were more than he could bear. The money borrowed is lent chiefly upon the security of small suburban houses, a kind of property always in course of depreciation, and it may be that the society would have returned upon its hands a number of houses in a bad state of repair and in a deteriorating locality. The installments having ceased and the houses void, the property becomes a profitless burden upon the society and a probable ultimate loss. When jerry builders are large customers of a building society and have some influence, direct or indirect, with its board of directors, the evil is greatly aggravated. Whole streets are built with borrowed money, on speculation until, perhaps, there are twice as many houses as can possibly be let. The society, to protect itself, is bound to continue advancing until it is drawn completely into the net and finds itself encumbered with a lot of unsaleable and useless property. To stave off the evil day when all things must be disclosed to the trusting member, financing is restored to money raised on direct deposit and advances obtained from banks. The money thus raised tides the society over their difficulties for a time, but it may be that some rumor or report influences members and depositors to withdraw their money, and eventually the coffers are empty, and the end arrives. Unhappily, in the collapse of more than one building society during the last few years there have been revealed frauds and dishonesty of the most flagrant character, and hundreds of trusting investors of the industrial classes have been ruined through the machinations of scoundrels, some of whom posed as philanthropists and ultra-righteous members of society. To protect the interests of members and depositors, only men of unimpeachable character and business ability should be elected directors of a building society, and the audit ought to be of the strictest character. The balance sheet should present details of the securities upon which the advances are made, and the auditors should certify that they have examined the deeds and identified them as representing the property described in the balance sheet. Generally speaking, the auditors appointed by the members are not lawyers, and have not the necessary skill for verifying the documents relating to the property. Indeed, they are not expected to do so. One of the auditors should certainly be legally qualified to ascertain that the securities of the society do represent the property set forth in the balance sheet, and he should give a certificate to that effect. If this course were insisted upon, such scandals as have been brought to light could hardly be repeated, where one set of deeds was made to do duty for the assets of 3 distinct societies, each managed by the same board of directors, and the case in which the deeds of abandoned or destroyed property were palmed off upon the auditors to represent securities which had practically no existence. The industrial classes are less careful than those above them in seeing to the safety of their investments, and some legislation seems to be called for to prevent their hard-earned savings being frittered away by bad management or rank dishonesty. Chapter 11. The Post Office Savings Bank. This institution offers a most admirable, convenient, and secure depository for the savings of the industrial classes and of others. Its value to the thrifty and timid investor is incalculable, for here he may rest satisfied that he has absolute security, and the system is so hedged about with safeguards that it is difficult to discover any means by which loss can be sustained. The interest allowed is not high, but reasonable enough when the perfect security and the facile ties offered are taken into consideration. Money may be deposited by any person over 7 years of age, and by anyone on behalf of children under 7. Also by married women, and with this advantage, that such deposits, unless and until the contrary is proved, are deemed to be the property of such married woman. Moreover, the fact that any deposit is standing in the name of a married woman being prima facie evidence that she is entitled to draw the same without the consent of her husband. Deposits may be made by 2 or more persons, provided no one of them has any other account in a savings bank, and by one person as trustee for another person. On opening an account, a person has to sign a declaration to the effect that he takes no personal benefit from any other account in the Post Office Savings Bank or in a trustee savings bank, and should this declaration not be true, all sums so deposited will be liable to forfeiture. Any person opening an account, that is, depositing money with a Post Office Savings Bank, will receive a book in which the amount is entered, and the signature of the postmaster and stamp of the office affixed to the entry. In addition to this, he will receive from the department in London, a few days after, a receipt for the amount. Once in each year, on the anniversary of the day on which his first deposit was made, the depositor should forward his book to the Controller of Savings Banks, London, in order that it may be compared with the books of the department in London, and that the interest may be inserted in it. A depositor may add to his deposits at, and withdraw the whole or any part of them from, any post office in the United Kingdom without change of deposit book. It will thus be obvious that all deposit accounts, although operated upon through the branch post office, are really kept at the Savings Bank Department in London, and depositors are so kept in touch with the department that complete protection is afforded them. Any sum from 1 shilling upwards, by excluding pence, may be deposited, subject to certain limits. These limits are £50 a year, that is, no more than £50 will be received on deposit in any 1 year, but any withdrawals during the year may be redeposited once, and once only. No more than £200 in all can be held on behalf of a depositor. The reason for these limits apparently is that the bank was created for the encouragement of saving habits in, and providing a secure place for, the money of thrifty people of small means, and not for investment of the capital of the wealthy. Interest at £2.10% per annum, which is at the rate of 6p a year, or 1 halfpenny a month, for each complete pound, is allowed on ordinary deposits and added to the principal. But when, by the addition of interest or from any other cause, the deposit is raised to above £200, interest is allowed on £200 only, and the excess over that sum, when it amounts to £5, is applied to the purchase of government stock, unless the depositor desires otherwise. When a person has £200 to the credit of his deposit account, he cannot make any further addition thereto, but the post office will invest this sum, or any part of it, for the depositor in government stock, and he can then continue paying in money to his account as before until the sum again reaches £200. No more than £200 government stock can be purchased in any 1 year, and the total amount of stock standing in a depositor's AC account at any one time must not exceed £500. The dividends or interest on any government stock is credited periodically to the holder's ordinary deposit account. When a depositor wishes to withdraw the whole or any part of his money, he has to fill up and forward to the Savings Bank Department in London a notice of withdrawal, and a form for the purpose may be obtained at any post office savings bank. He will then receive by post a warrant, on presentation of which, at any branch post office he may have selected, payment will be made. Payment by a warrant may be made to another person on behalf of the depositor, provided the latter signs a form of authority for the purpose, which form may be obtained at any post office savings bank. A depositor of the age of 16 and upwards may nominate any person to receive any sum, not exceeding £100, due to such depositor at his death. Every nomination must be in writing on the proper form, which may be obtained from the controller of the Savings Bank Department, in London, to whom the nomination must be sent during the depositor's lifetime. Where, at the time of the depositor's death, the amount standing to his credit exceeds £100, it will be necessary, in order to obtain payment, that probate of his will, if any, or letters of administration, if he has died intestate, should be obtained in the usual manner. Where the whole amount standing to the credit of a depositor at the time of his death, inclusive of government stock, does not exceed £100, in default of a nomination, or probate, or letters of administration, payment may be made. To any person who has paid the funeral expenses of the depositor, to creditors of the depositor, to the widow or widower of the depositor, to the persons entitled to the effects of the deceased according to the statute of distribution, to any other person establishing, to the satisfaction of the Postmaster General, a claim in accordance with the statutes and regulations relating to the Post Office Savings Bank. The salient points of the Post Office Savings Bank have been placed before the reader, but in connection with this system there is another organization, for the purpose of purchasing government annuities and effecting life insurance, of so varied and elaborate a character that every possible requirement seems to be provided for. The Post Office Guide, which is published quarterly, contains voluminous tables and explanations in respect of this organization, and full details and clear directions for the guidance of the public in regard to the savings bank. The growing success which attends these several institutions is an unmistakable indication of the value set upon them by the people. The prudent and thrifty have not been slow to take advantage of the benefits they offer, not the least of which are the freedom from doubt and anxiety they enjoy as to the safety of their money, and the certainty felt that, though other concerns may fall and involve their victims in ruin, here there is absolute and permanent security. Table of interest on investments, showing how the rate of interest actually received varies according to the amount paid for the stock. Example: if a purchaser gives £88 for £100 6% stock, he will find that the rate of interest on the sum invested is £6.16. 60, being the amount in the column headed 6%, opposite to 88 in the first column. Price, per 3, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 7, pound 100, PRCT, 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 dash, pound, pound S, D, 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 125, 280, 340, 312, 400, 480, 416, 512, 120, 210, 368, 315, 434, 411, 500, 516, 115, 212, 397, 318, 470, 415, 544, 619, 110, 214, 312, 419, 410, 500, 590, 673, 105, 217, 362, 459, 415 3, 549, 514 4, 613 4, 98, 313, 418, 412 10, 520, 512 2, 626, 7210, 96, 326, 434, 413 9, 542, 514 4, 650, 7510, 94, 339, 450, 415 7, 564, 517 0, 676, 7810, 92, 353, 470, 417 10, 589, 519 7, 610 6, 712 3, 90, 368, 4810, 500, 511 1, 623, 613 4, 715 7, 88, 383, 410 10, 524, 513 7, 650, 616 6, 719 0, 86, 399, 413 0, 547, 516 3, 6711, 619 6, 829, 84, 311 6, 415 4, 573, 519 1, 611 0, 730, 869, 82, 313 1, 417 6, 597, 620, 614 2, 763, 810 7, 80, 315 0, 500, 576, 650, 617 6, 710 0, 815 0, 78, 317 6, 5210, 515 8, 687, 716, 714 3, 900, 76, 318 10, 552, 518 4, 611 6, 747, 717 8, 9311, 74, 410, 580, 616, 615 0, 786, 820, 990, 72, 434, 511 1, 650, 618 11, 712 9, 868, 914 5, 70, 459, 514 3, 687, 7210, 717 6, 814 3, 1000, 68, 481, 517 6, 612 2, 770, 819, 816 3, 1059, 66, 410 0, 600, 615 0, 710 0, 850, 900, 1010 0, 64, 413 9, 650, 708, 716 3, 811 10, 976, 1018 9, 62, 416 9, 690, 751, 813, 817 4, 913 6, 1159, 60, 500, 613 4, 710 0, 868, 934, 1000, 1113 4, 58, 535, 617 10, 715 1, 812 4, 997, 10610, 1214, 56, 571, 7210, 808, 818 6, 916 4, 1014 3, 1210 0, 54, 511 9, 780, 869, 950, 1043, 1120, 1219 0, 52, 515 3, 713 6, 812 10, 912 3, 1011 4, 1110 6, 1390, 50, 600, 800, 900, 1000, 1100, 1200, 1409, 48, 6_15_0, 868, 976, 1012 6, 1190, 1250, 1411 8, 46, 610 4, 8 13 10, 9 15 0, 10 17 4, 11 19 0, 13 0 0, 15 4 2, 44, 6 16 1, 9 1 10, 10 4 6, 11 1 9, 12 10 0, 13 12 9, 15 18 2, 42, 7 2 9, 9 10 2, 10 19 3, 11 18 0, 13 2 0, 14 5 3, 16 13 4, 40, 7 10 0, 10 0 0, 11 5 0, 12 10 0, 13 15 0, 15 0 0, 17 10 0, 36, 8 6 8, 11 2 2, 12 10 0, 13 17 9, 15 5 0, 16 13 4, 19 15 7, 32, 9 7 6, 12 10 0, 14 1 3, 15 12 6, 17 3 9, 18 15 0, 21 17 6, 30, 10 0 0, 13 6 8, 15 0 0, 16 13 4, 18 6 8, 20 0 0, 23 6 8, 26, 11 10 0, 15 7 9, 17 6 3, 19 5 0, 21 3 6, 23 1 6, 26 18 6, 20, 15 0 0, 20 0 0, 22 10 0, 25 0 0, 27 10 0, 30 0 0, 35 0 0, 15, 20 0 0, 26 13 4, 30 0 0, 33 6 8, 36 13 4, 40 0 0, 46 0 0, 10, 30 0 0, 40 0 0, 45 0 0, 50 0 0, 55 0 0, 60 0 0, 70 0 0. Examples of business communications: correspondence, sending money by post, address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, please place the amount of the enclosed checks and notes to the credit of my account, and acknowledge receipt to yours faithfully, Jane Smith. Check £20.00 notes, £45.00, £65.00. Requiring money. Address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, I shall be obliged by your sending me under registered cover to the above address £15 and £5 Bank of England notes, for which I enclose my cheque. Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. Blanktown. Acknowledging receipt. Address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, I have to acknowledge with thanks the receipt of £15 in banknotes. Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. Blanktown. Transfer to deposit account. Address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, I shall be obliged by your transferring £300 from my current account to a deposit account and forwarding me the receipt. I enclose a cheque for the amount. Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. Blanktown. Arranging for check to be honored by another bank. Address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, I shall be obliged if you will advise your branch, or some other bank, at Liverpool to pay me £20 on application. Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. Blanktown. Request for passport and circular notes. Address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, I propose during the next 2 or 3 months to travel on the continent accompanied by my niece, Miss Lucy Smith, and my maid, Jane Parker. Will you kindly obtain a passport for us and also forward me £100 in circular notes, for which I enclose my check? Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. Blanktown. Ordering letter of credit to remit. Address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, I desire to send £120 to John Smith, residing near Winnipeg, in North America, and shall be obliged if you will send me the necessary form to remit to him so that he may obtain the money without difficulty or delay. Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. N.B. Remittances in this way can be sent to almost every town in the civilized world. Remitting in this country. Address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, I shall be obliged by your advising your branch bank, or some other bank, in Leeds, to pay George Jones on application the sum of £54, for which I enclose a cheque and a specimen of Mr. Jones's signature. Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. Blanktown. Lodging securities at bank. Address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, I shall be obliged by your taking charge for me of some securities which you will find specified on the other side, and hold them for safe custody. Please also cut off and collect the coupons attached to the bonds and place the amounts from time to time, as they fall due, to the credit of my account. Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. Blanktown. Order to receive dividends. Address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, I am desirous that the dividends or interest in my stock shall be paid to the bank direct for the credit of my account. Kindly send me the proper form or order for my signature. Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. Blanktown. Ordering investments. Address underscore 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 date underscore 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 the manager, blank's higher bank. Sir, please purchase on my account £500 stock 2.75%, consols at the market price, and send me an account of the same when I will forward my check in payment. Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. Blanktown. Or, please purchase £500 preference, stating which stock in the Great Blank's Hire Railway, at a price not exceeding £150%, in my name, and send me the account for the same, when I will forward my check for the cost. Yours faithfully, Jane Smith. The same form can of course be adapted for selling out, by substituting sell for purchase, writing less for not exceeding, and omitting the line as to forwarding the check.